Chapter 239. Zhong Kuang soared into the air and tore apart the endless river of blood. Large amounts of essence were forcefully plundered by it. A cold light burst forth, and a violent aura suppressed the filthy evil aura in the river of blood. Yi Qinghan discovered that Zhong Kuang could soar into the void by itself, so he took Emperor Yi and stepped into the underworld. As soon as they left the bridge, the tearing force immediately dissipated. Yi Qinghan's body shone with golden light, quickly restoring his vitality. However, he discovered that the white hair on his head could not be restored. He could not help but frown. After a moment of hesitation, Yi Qinghan withdrew his aura and put away the palatial Buddha pagoda. Emperor Yi also put away the divine Guqin and quietly stepped into the underworld. The door was wide open, and it was dark and gloomy. The dark red light was somewhat terrifying. The great path of reincarnation and the aura of death filled the air and did not disperse. Countless wraiths and wills wanted to rush out, but they were suppressed by an invisible array and could not rush out. Emperor Yi held onto Yi Qinghan's hand tightly, unwilling to let go. Even if he died today, he would not let go. Thump, thump, thump. Powerful heartbeats rose and fell, coming from the depths of the hall. It was like thunder striking Yi Qinghan's heart. The two stepped into the hall, and a murderous aura enveloped them, suppressing their vitality. The metal origin Dao physique had the effect of expelling evil, so wraiths and wills did not want to get close. Emperor Yi had the physique of a human sovereign, and his yang energy was overwhelming. Even high-level undead spirits did not want to get close quickly. As far as the eye could see, the entire hall was formed by mountains. A giant black coffin suppressed the hall, emitting a terrifying aura of death. There was actually a chain under the coffin, and a large amount of the great path of reincarnation was attached to it. It seemed to be suppressing something. Yi Qinghan walked along the stone walls of the hall, staring at the chain. He wanted to see what it was suppressing. Cluck, cluck, cluck. The parrot's lips were trembling, and it made a crisp sound. Thump, thump, thump. The heartbeat in the coffin was sometimes strong and sometimes weak. When it was strong, Yi Qinghan felt as though his blood vessels were about to explode. If not for the protection of the 10,000 Buddha's pagoda, his internal organs would have long been shattered by this heartbeat. Yi Qinghan didn't dare to get too close to the coffin. His eyes were still fixed on the chains. After walking around half of the coffin, he saw what was chained to the chains. He felt as if his heart was about to stop beating. His face turned pale. He pulled Emperor Yi behind him. His entire body tensed up. He felt as if his soul had been scared silly by the eerie green light. The parrot's entire body tensed up. Just as it was about to pass out from fear, it burrowed into Yi Qinghan's body. Yi Qinghan felt like he was going crazy. He rubbed his eyes and focused again. He realized that the green light was also staring at him. It was very real and definitely not a dream. There was a black shadow curled up under the coffin. It was covered in green fur, and was lying on the ground. Its neck was chained up by a chain. The great Tao of reincarnation on the chain was constantly shooting out, forming terrifying runes and great Tao patterns. It was so tight that it didn't dare to move. A dead spirit. Yi Qinghan was familiar with this aura and gaze. A terrifying dead spirit was being imprisoned under the coffin. The soul was very ethereal, but it could be imprisoned by the chains. This made his hair stand on end. This was a quasi-emperor level dead spirit. It had actually been imprisoned by this ghost emperor for tens of thousands of years. This dead spirit was attached to the coffin, blocking off the loss of its vitality, the heavenly secrets, and the great Tao laws. It actually didn't die. It was as docile as a puppy, guarding the giant coffin. The dead spirit looked at Yi Qinghan with a strange look in its eyes. Surprisingly, it didn't roar and attack. Instead, it had an expectant and vengeful gaze. It glared angrily at the giant black coffin. It was obvious how much it hated the person in the coffin. This was the first time Yi Qinghan felt fear. In the past, even when facing death, he didn't feel helpless or panicked. However, looking at this giant black coffin, he was truly afraid. He was stunned by the ghost emperor in the coffin. How terrifying was he when he was alive to rear a dead spirit and make it his watchdog? Why didn't he directly choose to validate his Tao? Why did he choose to cultivate the Ghost Emperor technique? He was a madman, a persistent madman. He was more persistent and crazy than anyone else. A madman without any humanity. Yi Qinghan's body trembled as he stared at the dead spirit. He realized that it didn't want to attack him, nor did it want to inform the Ghost Emperor in the coffin. He couldn't help but let out a turbid breath. Thump, thump, thump. The heartbeat in the coffin became stronger again, causing Yi Qinghan's heart to beat crazily as if it was going to explode. The dead spirit looked at Yi Qinghan for a long time before turning its gaze to the opposite side of the coffin, on a giant mountain. Yi Qinghan followed his gaze, and his eyes lit up. He discovered that there was actually a stalk of saintly medicine on the mountain. It had lived for an unknown number of years, and had long since become capable of flight. However, it was suppressed by the formation here, and was unable to leave. Yin-yang flower. An ancient sacred medicine that could seize the fortune of heaven and earth. It could allow one to instantly comprehend the great Tao of yin and yang and see through life and death. It could even validate one's Tao. Of course, this was only a legend. However, it was true that the yin-yang flower could delay the end of one's life and increase one's vitality. Even someone like Di Shang, who was about to die, could fight for another 500 years with just one petal of the yin-yang flower. 500 years, that was a very long period of history. A supreme sacred medicine. There was no existence more powerful than this sacred medicine. However, if one didn't have the cultivation of a 9th-layer quasi-emperor, and ate the yin-yang flower, they could only wait for reincarnation. The medicinal properties of the entire yin-yang flower could instantly kill a quasi-emperor. The enlightenment divine lotus in Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness trembled and swayed with all its might as if it wanted Yi Qinghan to snatch away this sacred medicine and let it accompany the yin-yang flower. The dead spirit also seemed to be hinting for Yi Qinghan to take it away. Once the Ghost Emperor awakened and attained the quasi-emperor golden body and swallowed the yin-yang flower, he would definitely become a true supreme existence. At that time, he wouldn't simply be rearing the dead spirit. He would be rearing the common people. Yi Qinghan shuddered at the thought of competing with the ghost monarch for this opportunity. He could snatch the yin-yang flower, but he couldn't use it. Once the ghost monarch awoke and discovered that the yin-yang flower had been snatched away, he would definitely hunt Yi Qinghan to the ends of the universe. However, Yi Qinghan wouldn't leave the yin-yang flower here even if he was beaten to death. Leaving the yin-yang flower here was the same as allowing the Ghost Emperor to attain his Tao. Yi Qinghan raised his brows and looked at the mountainside. There was an array that imprisoned the yin-yang flower, but there was no protective array. The Ghost Emperor was too confident. He was confident that no one would be able to enter the main hall and snatch the opportunity from him. He gave Yi Qinghan a chance. Shh. Yi Qinghan shushed softly and signaled the dead spirit not to make a sound. He slowly walked towards the yin-yang flower. The mountain wasn't steep. There was a large amount of death aura attached to the mountain rocks that could kill ordinary immortal sect experts. Even divine martial experts wouldn't be willing to come close. However, Yi Qinghan was different. The metal origin Tao physique was the most stubborn physique in the world. The metal origin could block all filthy evil aura. The death aura couldn't kill Yi Qinghan. At most, it would exhaust some of the metal origin. Emperor Yi looked up and realized that the light of destruction in his eyes had disappeared. He turned to look at the dead spirit. His expression changed slightly and became as pale as paper. The dead spirit was still lying under the coffin. It grinned coldly and revealed a row of sinister teeth. It was taking revenge on the person in the coffin for rearing it for countless years. A boundary emperor was actually reared like a dog for tens of thousands of years. Without freedom, how could it not hate? Yi Qinghan let go of Emperor Yi and quickly climbed halfway up the mountain. He realized that this sacred medicine had already gained sentience. If it wasn't for the great Tao of reincarnation suppressing it, it would have already flown into the sky and burrowed into the ground. It would have become a supreme existence, and perhaps become the first plant to attain Tao. The yin-yang flower had a spirit. It didn't resist Yi Qinghan and allowed him to pluck it. It flew into Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness and looked at the enlightenment divine lotus from afar. They each occupied half of the world. Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness was vast and boundless. The sea of bitterness churned and the great Tao rumbled. The aura of chaos on the other side of the sea of bitterness covered the sky and earth. Stars emitted dazzling light as if a new universe was being born. Thump, thump, thump. The disappearance of the yin-yang flower didn't awaken the ghost emperor. However, it made his heart beat even more vigorously, as if he could wake up at any time. Yi Qinghan quickly returned to the ground. He didn't dare to stay here for long. He glanced at the dead spirit and bowed deeply. Then he pulled Emperor Yi and quietly retreated. The dead spirit looked at Yi Qinghan's departing figure and grinned bitterly. Its hatred overflowed to the heavens. If it could fight back against the person in the coffin, it would definitely choose to self-destruct without hesitation and perish together with him. Unfortunately, the ghost emperor was too terrifying. He knew the dead spirit's weakness and firmly controlled its soul. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan took Emperor Yi and stepped into the center of the ancient bridge. He reached out and grasped the heavy berserk blade. Then he left this ancient bridge that could devour all life. He shouted to Feng Sha in a low voice, "Take the Sha spirit and quickly leave this place with me." Inside, Qianlong feudal marshal was curious. He could see that Yi Qinghan was very afraid and wanted to leave as soon as possible. Qianlong feudal marshal would never have thought that Yi Qinghan would have the guts to snatch the ghost emperor's opportunity and steal the yin-yang flower that the ghost emperor had prepared for tens of thousands of years. If he knew, he would definitely move his entire clan and escape as far as possible. Now is not the time to talk. Quickly leave this dead star. Don't take anything else. Yi Qinghan hurriedly said. At this moment he couldn't help but be afraid. He had stolen the ghost emperor's opportunity Tao fruit. If the ghost emperor became angry, even 10 million of him together wouldn't be able to withstand a single breath. The parrot inside Yi Qinghan's body trembled and secretly cursed. This guy is the real scammer. I don't dare to steal the ghost emperor's Tao fruit. I'll find a chance to leave him. I can't stay with him, or I'll be implicated. Feng Sha could see that Yi Qinghan's breathing was rapid and knew that he must have done something terrifying. He looked deeply at the hall and crazily plundered some resentful spirits and baleful aura. Then, he cut off a large piece of baleful essence and retreated to the front of everyone. Leave this place, Yi Qinghan ordered. Everyone frantically retreated, not daring to delay. Behind them, the hall was filled with killing intent. The aura of the great Tao reincarnation became even denser and rushed into all directions. It gradually overflowed the dead star. One could feel the terrifying aura here from afar. No. I have to find someone from the Heaven's Secrets sect to lay down a trap array. I have to trap it for at least 1,000 years to give me a chance to grow. Yi Qinghan's face was pale. He rushed out of the passage and looked back at the yin-yang array. He found that the place of life was also filled with the aura of death, and had become a land of death. Chapter 240. Thousand Dragon Star. Within the ancient race, Yi Qinghan used the Star Domain messaging talisman to contact Di Shang, and told him most of what happened on the Dead Star. However, he did not mention the yin-yang flower. After all, this level of sacred medicine was enough to make anyone lose their mind. Ancient Massacre God Palace. Di Shang's fingertips trembled, his expression extremely ugly. He contacted all the quasi-emperors and false emperors of the 8 sacred lands, and even gathered the experts of some of the super races and hidden sects to discuss countermeasures. Knowing that the ghost emperor's arts had appeared in the human world, almost all the quasi-emperors and false emperors came out of seclusion. The entire human race only had 15 quasi-emperors, and a little more than 100 false emperors. Di Shang looked at everyone and said, "The ghost emperor has appeared again, and he has already become a quasi-emperor. We must prepare in advance." It's the ghost emperor again. Didn't the human sovereign eliminate this kind of ghost? Xia Chintian frowned and asked in shock. There will always be a fish that escapes the net. According to Yi Qinghan's information, this ghost emperor is very likely the direct disciple of the first-generation ghost emperor. This kind of ghost has lived for tens of thousands of years, and is definitely not something we can deal with. Right now we can only trap him and stall for time, Di Shang said gravely. The emperor's faces were pale. The ghost emperor had caused an immeasurable amount of damage, Not to mention that the quasi-emperors of the past were not comparable to the current quasi-emperors. However, the current ghost emperor was not inferior to the ghost emperor of the past. It's Yi Qinghan again. Why does this guy cause trouble wherever he goes? Chu Qiushui of the Heaven's Secrets sect bitterly smiled. Perhaps we should thank him. If not for him, the younger generation of the human race would have all fallen in the ancient space. This time, if he had not discovered the Ghost Emperor's tracks, when the Ghost Emperor awakens, would we still have a chance to resist? Zhang Yunxiao said seriously. The Ghost Emperor is not something we can trap. We must ask the sovereigns of the myriad races for help. They have no choice but to give in on this matter. Everyone was talking at once. Yi Qinghan was currently on Thousand Dragon Star, but he couldn't sit still. He had taken the Ghost Emperor's yin-yang flower. Once that damn thing awoke, Yi Qinghan would have to run as far as he could. The parrot lay listlessly on the table and looked at Yi Qinghan. It was thinking about how to escape from Yi Qinghan's clutches. The yin-yang flower was like a ticking time bomb that could explode at any time. Yi Qinghan gazed at the Death Star. The death chi there was overflowing and gradually spread towards Thousand Dragon Planet. A chill ran down his spine. Master, let's run. Otherwise, you can break the contract and let me go, the parrot said frantically. Wait for another half a day, and the quasi-emperors will arrive. Once they arrive, I will leave immediately. Yi Qinghan's black hair danced in the wind, and his eyes were like bright stars as he stared fixedly at the dead star. It wasn't that he didn't want to leave, but he was worried that the quasi-emperors would explore the dead star again, and lure the Ghost Emperor out in advance. Can you undo the contract? I promise I won't run away, the parrot promised solemnly. Then why do you want to undo the contract? Yi Qinghan's lips curled into a mocking smile as he looked at the parrot with disdain. I feel like you're going to die. You can't take me to hell with you. Undo the contract. Any last words? The parrot's voice became lower and lower as it looked at Yi Qinghan with a cold gaze. In the end, it could only lower its head. Don't worry. If I die, you won't be able to live. I don't care what kind of existence you are. The contract is set. If I die, you die. Yi Qinghan sneered. The parrot's mouth twitched as it looked at Yi Qinghan with disdain. This was a classic threat. Master, look at me. I've been loyal to you all my life. Leave me and Emperor Yi behind and escape by yourself. I will take good care of her. The parrot pretended to be pitiful and cried bitterly as if it was very reluctant to part. Go away, you jinx. If Master didn't keep you, I would have roasted you, Emperor Yi said coldly. AI, why don't you understand how terrifying the Ghost Emperor is? That thing can even rear a quasi-emperor dead spirit. Is there anything he can't do? The parrot smiled bitterly and sighed. Then it looked at Yi Qinghan and said angrily, You stole his great emperor Dao fruit. Just wait for him to wake up and go crazy. Even if you run to the ends of the earth or the end of the universe, he can still find you. Yi Qinghan's lips curled up as he looked at the parrot's pessimistic expression. He immediately said proudly, That depends on when he wakes up. If I reach the quasi-emperor realm and forge the 9-revolution chaotic Dao body, what can he do to me when he wakes up? I'll tear him apart alive. The parrot trembled. It knew that it couldn't change Yi Qinghan's mind and didn't say anything else. That evening, Di Shang and more than 30 quasi-emperors and 100 pseudo-emperors descended on the 1,000-leaf star field. They appeared above the dead star, and their auras were restrained. They didn't look imposing at all. Yi Qinghan came out to welcome them. The domain masters and the star lords didn't even have a chance to meet him. Seniors, the Ghost Emperor is on this dead star. Seniors, please work together to seal this dead star, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Di Shang nodded and looked at Yi Qinghan in surprise. He didn't understand how he knew that the people here cultivated the Ghost Emperor arts. Most pseudo-emperors didn't know about the Ghost Emperor arts. Even the quasi-emperors who didn't have a strong foundation didn't know. Chu Qiushui stared at the dead star and found that this underground palace was also set up according to the 9-revolution Sky Thunder Star formation. However, it was a defensive formation. He knew that this Ghost Emperor knew about the Qimen Duanjia and the 8 trigrams yin-yang formation. The trap formation might not be able to seal the Ghost Emperor for long. Fellow Taoists, our Heaven's Secrets sect's previous generation Heaven's Secrets clairvoyant has developed a new type of formation. It's a trap formation. According to theory, it can seal any existence below the Great Emperor realm. As long as they haven't proven their Tao, they won't be able to break free within 1,000 years. This formation is called the Dragon Binding Formation. Together with the heaven-binding chains and 9 quasi-emperors guarding it day and night, it should be able to trap the Ghost Emperor for 2,000 to 3,000 years. Chu Qiushui said confidently. How should we use it? Fellow Taoist Qiushui, please tell us. We'll do our best to cooperate. At this moment, even the experts of the 10,000 races looked very serious. The previous Ghost Emperor had caused irreparable damage to the endless universe's sovereign domain. No one wanted to suffer a second time. That's right, this Ghost Emperor has also reared a dead spirit below his coffin. It's a quasi-emperor, but that quasi-emperor seems to hate the Ghost Emperor very much. That's why it didn't attack me when I entered the underground palace. Yi Qinghan's words caused everyone's expression to change drastically. What was this Ghost Emperor trying to do by rearing a dead spirit? The dead spirit had been in the underworld for tens of thousands of years and hadn't died. What level of understanding did this Ghost Emperor have towards reincarnation and time? You should leave this place first. After we've finished setting up the formation, you should return to the sovereign domain with us. The younger generation of geniuses needs to be nurtured together. Don't go out to train anymore, Di Shang said in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan bowed and left, retreating tens of thousands of miles away. Under Chu Qiushui's command, the quasi-emperors set up the divine trapping chains. Countless chains emitted runes and Taoist techniques, illuminating heaven and earth. Immediately after, dozens of quasi-emperors and hundreds of pseudo-emperors worked together to set up the dragon trapping formation and surround the dead star. The Great Golden Buddha Temple's quasi-emperors added a large amount of Buddhist true intent outside the dragon trapping formation to resist the corrosion of the filthy evil qi. It seemed very fast, but it was actually very shocking. With dozens of quasi-emperors working together, there was almost nothing they couldn't do apart from facing a Varch head-on. Roar! Boom! A mournful roar pierced through the formation, and everyone's eardrums. The quasi-emperors coughed out blood and flew back in fear. They worked together to support the dragon trapping formation. The Ghost Emperor woke up. His dragon robe was stirred up by the storm, shattering the space of the dead star. He looked coldly at the dragon trapping formation with disdain and mockery. Ignorant juniors, how dare you try to trap this emperor? The hoarse and ear-piercing voice was like the roar of a Varch weapon. The formation was useless. It couldn't restrain him at all. Di Shang and the others turned pale. They remained silent and focused on guarding the formation. Back then, my master was short-sighted and didn't attain the Tao. In this life, I will fulfill his wish and let the human race become the leader of the 10,000 spirits. If you submit, this emperor might give you a position. Otherwise, I will turn all of you into Yin soldiers. The Ghost Emperor looked coldly at Di Shang and the others. He didn't attack. You are Zhu Xiezi, that bastard's 6th direct disciple. Di Shang was shocked. At the end of the 10,000 ancient era, the first generation Ghost Emperor had taken in 6 disciples and adopted them. The first 5 were all killed by the human emperor, and only 1 disappeared. Di Shang didn't expect him to have survived the ancient era until now. Ancient killing god. Ghost Emperor Zhu Xiezi's cold eyes were like the moon as he stared at Di Shang. The corner of his mouth curled up as he mocked. I didn't expect the ancient killing god to have fallen to such a state. A 9th-layer quasi-emperor is only comparable to a fake Thrarch from the 10,000 ancient era. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Di Shang's battle prowess was the strongest in the human race, but it was only comparable to a fake Thrarch from the 10,000 ancient era. How strong were the cultivators from the 10,000 ancient era? Yi Qinghan looked from afar. He was in his god-slaying eagle armor form. When he looked at Ghost Emperor Zhu Xiezi from 10,000 miles away, he felt like his soul was being seen through. His body tensed up as he wanted to retreat. Brat, it's all because of you that this emperor had to come out of seclusion early. Otherwise, the day I came out of seclusion would be the day I attained the Tao. You destroyed my foundation and stole my opportunity. How can this emperor repay you? Zhu Xiezi's eyes pierced through 10,000 miles and locked onto Yi Qinghan as he sneered. An evil demon like you will be killed by heavenly lightning even if you attain the Tao. In this life, you are destined not to attain the Tao. 1,000 years later, I will tear you apart with my own hands. Yi Qinghan used the law of space and rushed toward the Death Star with a thunderous voice. Ha ha ha. Today's cultivators are old men in their twilight years. Brats are arrogant. With such combat strength, you want to tear this emperor apart 1,000 years later. Zhu Xiezi laughed maniacally. His huge hand shattered the heavens as he grabbed at the divine chains. The heaven and earth shook as he wanted to break free from the chains and rush out to settle the score with Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan's face turned pale as he felt that the ghost emperor could appear in front of him at any time. Boom. Whoosh. The heavenly Tao rumbled as the void outside the Death Star shattered continuously. The Death Star was shattered into pieces and was about to affect the Ghost Emperor's underground palace. Zhu Xiezi immediately stopped and looked down at Yi Qinghan. This array can't trap this emperor. If I want to kill you, it will only take a glance. Come over here and kneel down to repent. Zhu Xiezi's eyes were filled with the emperor's will as he ordered Yi Qinghan. He wanted to take back the yin-yang flower, so he couldn't kill Yi Qinghan outside the Death Star. Otherwise, it would only benefit the other boundary emperors. Chapter 241. Zhu Xiezi's eyes were filled with the will of a great emperor as he ordered Yi Qinghan. He wanted to take back the yin-yang flower, so he could not kill Yi Qinghan outside the Death Star. Otherwise, it would only benefit the other boundary emperors. How could Yi Qinghan's will allow others to order him around? However, he did not underestimate the Ghost Emperor. Even a boundary emperor was much stronger than these humans. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan flapped his wings and retreated another 1,000 miles. He stared at Zhu Xiezi with a solemn expression. You might have the chance to kill me, but you won't have the chance to make me kneel. Whether I die or not, you won't have the chance to prove your Tao. Yi Qinghan replied coldly. The Ghost Emperor sneered and grabbed at the void. Death Qi rushed out of the array and gathered into a giant hand that covered the sky. It defeated the boundary emperors and pounced on Yi Qinghan. An ant dares to go against this emperor's will? Do you think you can escape from this emperor's will by hiding behind me? Boom boom boom. The void shattered as the giant hand formed by Death Qi pierced through space and appeared in front of Yi Qinghan. Di Shang and the others did not even have the chance to react. Buzz. Yi Qinghan's hair stood on end. He used all his strength to control the palatial Buddha pagoda and protect his golden body. Ancient Buddha will runes covered the void. He did not want to succeed, but he wanted to defend against the Ghost Emperor's attack. At this moment, Yi Qinghan's Buddhist light shone in all directions. His Buddhist nature was even stronger than the boundary emperors of the Great Golden Buddha Temple. The guidance, Sarira in his sea of consciousness erupted, wanting to purify the Death Qi. Boom. It's this little monk again. If he didn't use the palatial Buddha pagoda to suppress this emperor's fate, this emperor would have proven his Tao for 10,000 years. Zhu Xiezi's anger reached the heavens. His killing intent surged out of the Death Star array as the giant hand of Death Qi smashed onto the palatial Buddha pagoda. Yi Qinghan was as weak as a piece of rotten wood. His gold Tao body was shattered into pieces, and his essence blood splattered everywhere. Ah! Screech! Yi Qinghan used a strand of his consciousness to control the origin of gold, and quickly healed his injured body. However, the golden body was like a kite with a broken string as it smashed into the void. The god-slaying eagle screeched in agony as it flapped its wings in the air, almost tearing them apart. In the end, it used the momentum to escape. The 10,000 Buddha's pagoda's Buddhist light shone for tens of thousands of miles, illuminating the thousand-leaf galaxy. It was as if an ancient Buddha had descended, his majesty overwhelming the heavens. The Buddhist Dharma was vast and mighty, causing people to revere it and not dare to profane it. The supreme existence from the great Buddha Golden Temple was stunned. How could a supreme treasure from the ancient temple be in Yi Qinghan's possession? Metal origin Tao body. Zhu Xiezi's eyes were like torches. He saw through the shackles and stared at Yi Qinghan. Even space and time couldn't stop his gaze. The human race is actually able to forcibly plunder the origin of metal and forge a Dao body, forming an acquired Dao body. Instead of being angry, Zhu Xiezi was delighted. His sharp laughter made the Boundary Emperor's hair stand on end. Yi Qinghan was even more horrified. This terrifying existence was even more terrifying than a parrot. Nothing could be hidden from him. However, it's a pity that you're going to be my dowry. You took my opportunity, and I'll take everything from you. Whoosh! The Ghost Emperor's death chi exploded and rushed towards the array. The death chi poured out, and the Buddhist light could only consume a portion of it. It was impossible to destroy all of it. The remaining 80% of the death chi turned into the Ghost Emperor's phantom. It swooped down on Yi Qinghan, and with a grab, everything was shattered. Whoosh! The wings on Yi Qinghan's back flapped against the river, and the Milky Way flowed in reverse. In an instant, he was thousands of miles away, rushing madly towards the desolate wilderness. Di Shang was shocked. He shouted to the crowd, "Old Xia, you take a group of people and guard this place. I'll take a group of people to save Yi Qinghan." Boom, boom, boom. The Boundary Emperor tore through the void with lightning speed, madly rushing towards the desolate universe. The Ghost Emperor's phantom moved the stars, and in the blink of an eye, it appeared where Yi Qinghan had been standing a second ago. However, Yi Qinghan's spatial laws had already reached small success, and his speed was unparalleled in both ancient and modern times. "Brat, this emperor will personally take action. You definitely won't be able to escape. Kneel down and beg this emperor, and perhaps I'll spare your life and let you become a god of death." The Ghost Emperor roared, his voice spreading for millions of miles. Everywhere it passed, it caused the myriad realms to kneel. "Dream on. Let's see how long your death chi can last." Yi Qinghan felt a piercing pain in his spine. The cold chi was pressing down on him, suppressing his strength. However, he was still unwilling to give up. "Heaven, earth, universe, let me roam." Boom. The Ghost Emperor's phantom could not guess Yi Qinghan's trajectory. It directly launched an indiscriminate attack, shattering all paths in front of him. Yi Qinghan suddenly rose vertically, charging into the void. The pressure grew greater and greater, and his true essence was rapidly being consumed. However, his willpower was supporting him. If he stopped now, he would die. The parrot's feathers stood on end. It charged out of Yi Qinghan's body, clawing at his shoulder as it roared. "You brat, break my contract. I don't want to die with you." "Humph, instead of thinking of running, why don't you think of a way to help me escape?" Yi Qinghan coldly snorted and ignored the parrot. "Go to the depths of the eternal battlefield. There are traces left behind by the human sovereign there. Perhaps we can force him back." The parrot was flustered and exasperated. It could only make a desperate effort. When Yi Qinghan heard this, he immediately tore through the clouds. He changed directions and sped towards the southeast of the great desolate wilderness. The eternal battlefield was the center of the human race since ancient times. A terrifying war had once occurred there. The human sovereign, the staying heavenly sovereign, and the most terrifying existence of the Forbidden Land had fought. That great battle had dyed the heroes in blood. The human sovereign's Dao body had been shattered, and the unparalleled dead spirits of the Forbidden Land had been refined alive by the human sovereign's blood. That battle could be described as an earth-shattering, heaven-rending, earth-rending, and a myriad of laws howling in grief. But even that paled in comparison. Only those who lived in that era could understand just how difficult that battle was. In that battle, after the unparalleled existence of the Forbidden Land had been refined, the human sovereign had only lived for 3 months. He had continuously coughed out blood for 3 months. His life force had ceased to exist, and in the end he had turned into the Tao. The heavenly Tao rumbled. A rain of blood poured down, and all living creatures howled in grief. However, the imperial domain of ancient times had become the center of the battlefield. The vast and endless imperial domain was filled with the corpses of powerhouses everywhere. Ancient secret techniques and Tao weapons were everywhere. Cultivation techniques and secret techniques were countless times more tyrannical than the current ones. However, that place was filled with dangers. Some ancient powerhouses had laid down formations that spanned countless years of space-time and were perfectly preserved. Once touched, even a quasi-emperor would be torn to shreds. There were some terrifying existences who could cut through space-time with a single saber strike. It was very likely that they could break through the shackles of space-time and kill their way to the present. No one could block such a violent attack. The eternal battlefield was filled with opportunities. Some precious medicines had tens of thousands of years of history. They could allow a mortal to instantly become a great revered martial artist, or even an immortal sect. Once someone discovered the medicinal garden of a great power from ancient times, they could establish their own sect and become a power second only to the Holy Lands. Several streaks of flame sped through the void like meteors streaking across the starry river. The friction created flames in the air. Yi Qinghan's movements were strange and unfathomable. He continuously escaped from the hands of the death god, causing Zhu Xiezi to be furious. Death energy overflowed into the heavens and filled the starry river. Half of the starry river was submerged. Junior, let me devour your blood, bones, and vitality. Hua. The 10,000 Buddha's pagoda erupted with golden light. It blocked out the death energy and protected the golden body. The origin of metal flowed throughout his body, resisting the corrosion of the death energy. However, Yi Qinghan's speed had clearly dropped by a great deal. Space also became blurry, and the laws of space were on the verge of going out of control. Damn it, he controls this space. Don't use the laws of space. Otherwise, he can predict where you'll appear next. The parrot was startled and angry. It turned around and stared at the Ghost Emperor's phantom. Its white feathers stood on end, and a sharp light flickered in its eyes. Zhu Xiezi, your fate isn't his. Hurry up and go to the forbidden area to find the golden bloodline. The parrot roared, wanting to send the Ghost Emperor away. Golden bloodline? Has this kind of trash been born in this era? I'm going to swallow him alive. The Ghost Emperor was furious. He stretched out a hand to capture Yi Qinghan. He's going to enter the forbidden area to seize the sacred medicine. If you don't go now, when he obtains the sacred medicine and proves his Tao, your fate will be the same as your master's. Now that you're at the same cultivation realm, why aren't you chasing after him? The parrot said angrily. There's no rush. Wait for me to kill this bastard first. Seeing how clever you are, I'll grant you a transformation and help you prove your Tao. You'll follow me by my side. The parrot. Extremely stupid. The human sovereign's bloodline only strives for an instant. If you give him an extra breath, he'll become a bit stronger. So what? The golden bloodline of this era is destined to be my stepping stone. Once I crush this bastard and obtain the yin-yang flower, even the heavenly Tao won't be able to stop me from attaining eternal life. I'm the only true God in this world. I control the reincarnation of 10,000 Taos, and all living things under the heavens must kneel before me. The Ghost Emperor was disdainful. He tore through the void, and his 5 claws transformed into divine weapons that grabbed at Yi Qinghan's back. Boom. Pooh. The claws crashed into the paladin pagoda. Yi Qinghan spat out a mouthful of blood essence, and his divine sense dissipated. The difference between him and the Ghost Emperor was like the difference between heaven and earth. Even if it was just a phantom of the Ghost Emperor, it was still impossible for a peak Tao sovereign like him to contend against. Whoosh! Yi Qinghan's body crumbled, and his life force dissipated. However, he still gritted his teeth and held on. Every breath he took meant a greater chance of survival. In the distance, Di Shang and the others were furious. They grabbed a dead star and smashed it at the Ghost Emperor's phantom, wanting to delay it for a moment. Boom. The Ghost Emperor was incomparably domineering. With a furious roar, he shattered the dead star. His figure only paused for a moment before he continued to attack Yi Qinghan. It seemed that this attack would completely extinguish his life force. Di Shang was completely enraged. He stopped and used his palms to control the myriad laws of the heavens. A top-tier 8th grade killing robe appeared on his golden body. The kill character opened up the myriad laws of the void and blasted at the Ghost Emperor's phantom. Boom. The Ghost Emperor punched at the kill character. Instantly, the heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The Ghost Emperor's phantom became much fainter and was sent flying. He could not control his body at all. Killing God. A thunderous roar shook the universe and caused the myriad laws to submit. The human sovereign's sword appeared in Di Shang's hand. He was like a barbaric killing god that had descended. With a single step, he crossed the river of stars and appeared in front of the ghost emperor. His eyes were like the eyes of a dragon, emitting a golden light and killing intent. This was the true ancient killing god. Di Shang's anger was enough to make all laws submit. Filthy evil. Even if I am not as good as my ancestors, killing a phantom of yours is not difficult. Although the human sovereign's sword had not awakened, the emperor's aura was vast and mighty, suppressing the heavens. Even the ghost emperor's phantom was deluded and did not dare to approach. Di Shang transformed into an ancient killing god. His black hair danced in the wind, shattering the void as he glared at the ghost emperor's phantom. Yi Qinghan constantly coughed up blood. The golden origin flowed through his body, bathing him in a river of blood. Even the golden origin could not repair his body. From this, one could see how terrifying the attacks of a quasi-emperor level expert were. Junior scram. Otherwise, when my true body breaks through the array, I will first slaughter the headquarters of the ancient killing god. The ghost emperor's phantom threatened. Chapter 242. The ghost emperor and Di Shang faced each other. One was of the ghost Dao while the other was of the killing Dao. Their auras rose as they faced off against each other. Terror overflowed into the sky as they pressured Yi Qinghan, until his body continuously cracked, repaired, and shattered again. This cycle repeated itself, causing Yi Qinghan unbearable pain. It was extremely difficult for him to escape. Bring out the 10,000 Buddha's pagoda, and charge out with all your strength. Your body can't withstand the shockwaves of a battle between quasi-emperors. Hurry up. Can't you see that Di Shang is stalling for time for you? The parrot roared. Yi Qinghan roared. His golden bones shattered and blood dyed the sky. His hair turned completely white. His vitality was being consumed too quickly. The 10,000 Buddha's pagoda was forcefully brought out to block the ghost emperor and Shadi's auras. Yi Qinghan dragged his injured body into the distance. The ghost emperor was cold as he allowed Yi Qinghan to leave. He didn't want to destroy the yin-yang flower. Di Shang didn't want to kill Yi Qinghan by accident either. He only released his aura to the maximum to block the ghost emperor's path. After an incense stick's worth of time, Yi Qinghan fled 1,000,000 miles away. He stood on a dead star and used the metal origin to frantically heal his injured body, making his body even stronger. Even a little bit of the yin-yang flower's medicinal properties was enough to kill an immortal gate expert. Yi Qinghan absorbed a little bit of the medicinal properties, and his body was covered in Dao runes. His golden body quickly healed and became even stronger. His white hair was restored to its original black color. A sword light traversed the starry field. The human emperor's aura was vast and mighty, and the sword chi was cold and sharp. It was as if a savage killing god had descended. The sword chi was filled with killing intent. God-killing art's first move, sweeping sword style. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The human emperor's sword slashed out from the void. The laws of space spread out, and nothing could stop the human emperor's sword. Di Shang turned into a sword that contained the will of the heavens, wanting to kill gods. The ghost emperor's death chi spread out, and his pupils constricted. This sword seemed to be tearing through space and time, attacking his body. There was no way to avoid it. Ghost Emperor descends. 8 desolations combined suppress. The phantom of the Ghost Emperor clasped its palms together, and the death chi that blotted out the sky transformed into indestructible claws. It slammed toward the mortal sovereign sword from both ends of the wilderness, wanting to seize the mortal sovereign sword. It was extremely powerful. Other than the great emperors who had proven their Dao, only the Ghost Emperor would dare to fight against Di Shang like this. The sky was shattered, and the void was like a piece of paper that was directly folded into countless pieces by the Ghost Emperor, turning into fine powder and dissipating. The two palms joined together, as if the 8 desolations were condensed. Boom! Yi Futian's palms pressed down on the Renhuang sword. The death chi and the great spirit collided and suppressed each other. The Renhuang sword was suppressed so much, but it still did not awaken. 1,000,000 miles away, on a small dead star of Thousand Dragon Planet, the Ghost Emperor pressed his palms together. He controlled the phantom and his will soared to the heavens. For an avatar to be able to do this was simply terrifying. The second style, lifting sword style. Di Shang's aura was majestic, and his killing intent soared to the heavens. With a sweep of his sword, he shattered the great void palm imprint and broke free from its shackles. He and his sword became one, and he turned into a long rainbow that pierced towards the Ghost Monarch's shadow. As long as the shadow's shadow was destroyed, the Ghost Monarch's soul would be severely injured. The third style, piercing sword style. Whoosh! The sword pierced through the past and present, crossing through the star domains. The dead stars were shattered, and the Emperor's might was vast and mighty, suppressing all Daos. The source of all Daos was contained in this sword. The Ghost Monarch is unparalleled, and his spirit enters the reincarnation cycle. The great Tao is boundless, and destruction descends. The dead zone became hell on earth. The Ghost Monarch's shadow evolved the reincarnation cycle. The Death Chi swirled, forming a giant black hole that wanted to devour the universe. Even the Renhuang sword could not escape its restraints. In the blink of an eye, Di Shang rushed to the entrance of the reincarnation cycle, as if he had delivered himself to the door. Once he entered the cycle, his vitality dissipated. Kill! With a furious roar, the path of reincarnation was shattered. The god of death shook the heavens. Even the neighboring star domains could see Di Shang's sword turning into a rainbow. He looked death in the eye as he slaughtered his way into the reincarnation cycle, wanting to carve out a path of blood. You're courting death. Enter the reincarnation cycle. Those who go against this emperor's will must all die. The Ghost Monarch's shadow roared, his madness overflowing into the heavens. The Ghost Tao was mysterious, and all Daos submitted to it. The reincarnation aura caused all quasi-emperors to fly backwards, not daring to approach. Only Di Shang, relying on the creator of the ancient god of death, the Renhuang sword, could stand shoulder to shoulder with the great Tao of reincarnation. This sword's name is Protect. It was created by the first ancient god of death by gathering the bones of countless heroes, gathering the will of countless human heroes to protect the human race. The Renhuang sword was created for the sole purpose of protecting the human race. It can break through the filthy evil energy of the underworld. No matter how great your reincarnation cycle is, it cannot stop the glory of the human race. Di Shang's vitality continued to dissipate. His body aged, but the Renhuang sword was still unstoppable. It wanted to slaughter its way to the end of the reincarnation cycle, to slaughter its way into the universe. Break for me. The Renhuang sword erupted, its divinity shooting out in all directions, protecting Di Shang's last bit of vitality. The great Tao collapsed, and a rainbow pierced out from another space, breaking apart the Ghost Monarch's shadow. Bang! The Ghost Monarch's shadow exploded. Death Chi overflowed into the heavens, filling the endless universe. Everywhere it passed, death was everywhere. Ah! Roar! A terrifying roar came from the thousand-leaf galaxy. It was enough to kill countless living beings on the spot. Even divine martial powerhouses couldn't escape. However, a dragon's roar came from the thousand-leaf galaxy. It didn't have any offensive power, and it was even pleasing to the ear. It instantly neutralized the Ghost Monarch's roar, saving hundreds of billions of living beings. The Ghost Monarch held his head with both hands, as if his soul had been severely injured. His face was ferocious, and his eyes shot out the will of death. He roared, "God of Death Jr., I will bury your entire clan and the ancient god of death for today's humiliation. Golden Tao Body Jr., you destroyed my foundation and stole my opportunity. When I come out of seclusion, I will torture your soul for countless generations. I will make you beg for death." This voice even spread to the imperial realm, making everyone's hair stand on end. Many people with weak hearts were scared to death. The Ghost Monarch's soul was severely injured, and he hid in the underworld. The thousand-leaf galaxy was deathly silent. Yi Qinghan's heart was in a frenzy. His eyes were like lightning as he looked at the thousand-leaf galaxy. Although he couldn't see, he could feel the Ghost Monarch's hatred and killing intent. He clenched his fists as the aura of death approached. 1,000 years. 1,000 years to become a quasi-emperor, or he would die without a doubt. Di Shang's hair turned white, and he instantly aged 1,000 years. His time was up. He held the human sovereign sword, but he was past his prime and didn't have much combat strength left. 1,000 years of life in exchange for 100 years of silence from the ghost monarch might not be worth it. But this was Di Shang's fate and glory. Fellow Taoist Di Shang. Zhang Yunxiao looked at Di Shang's sorrowful back with guilt and sadness. It's fine. My generation is the origin of the world. When I first started cultivating, I foresaw the end of my life. I hold the guardian sword, and I am destined to fight for it. This is the glory of the ancient god of death. Di Shang whispered, his voice deep and ancient. His majestic body stood tall, as if he wanted to compete with the heavens. Yi Qinghan's expression was ugly. He didn't expect Di Shang to use 1,000 years of life to severely injure the ghost monarch's soul. This caused his time to come early. After flying back, Yi Qinghan looked at Di Shang. He was shocked by the sacrifice of this senior of the human race. He bowed and said, "Thank you, Emperor, for saving my life. It's good that you're fine. Follow me back to the sovereign domain. I have something to tell you," Di Shang said in a low voice, as if he was about to say his last words. "Okay, I'll go and bring my son over first." Yi Qinghan was incomparably respectful. At this moment he understood the mission of the human race's quasi-emperors, the mission and glory of the ancient god of death. "Master, I'm here." Emperor Yi rode the god-slaying eagle, breaking through the wind and waves, chasing after the stars and moon. All the quasi-emperors had gathered, and the experts of the 10,000 races had also arrived. When they saw Di Shang's head of white hair, they couldn't help but feel sad. Although they were enemies, the people of the ancient god of death were always at the forefront when the endless universe was threatened. They resisted the ancient god of death, but they also respected him. However, in the end, the powerhouses of the 10,000 races looked at Yi Qinghan. This young man, who had not even reached the great martial honorable realm, had actually managed to escape from the ghost emperor's shadow. This was not only due to luck, but also terrifying strength. They couldn't recognize Emperor Yi, who had the physique of the human emperor. Otherwise, they would have revealed their killing intent. "Ha ha ha, the elites of the human race have gathered. I didn't expect this little fellow's luck to be so strong. He actually escaped with his life." The 10,000 races golden prung transformed into human form, and looked down at Yi Qinghan. His eyes flashed, and no one knew what he was thinking. Before Yi Qinghan could say anything, the parrot transmitted its voice to him. "Don't pay attention to him. This old bastard isn't anything good. Don't be fooled by how he's smiling at you. In fact, he already wants to kill you." Yi Qinghan's lips curled up and he smiled. He cupped his fists and bowed. "Senior, you flatter me. This junior only relied on a moment of luck to escape the ghost monarch's attack. Otherwise, I would have died a horrible death." Being stared at by dozens of quasi-emperors, Yi Qinghan didn't feel good. They looked like a group of harmless old men, but in reality, they only needed to stretch out a finger to pinch him to death. A strand of black hair could pierce his throat and end his life. Di Shang stood at Yi Qinghan's side, the human emperor's sword majestic and mighty. He coldly looked at the experts of the 10,000 races and warned in a hoarse voice. "Now is the time to work together to nurture talents. Don't be short-sighted and kill each other. Otherwise, once the ghost monarch appears, which one of you can escape?" The golden rock smiled indifferently. His eyes swept over Yi Qinghan, making him feel the sharpness of his blade. "I'm very curious. This god-slaying eagle is a 4th grade bloodline. How did you raise it to 7th grade? The golden rock stared at the god-slaying eagle, and found that this god-slaying eagle's will was extraordinary. It actually ignored his 8th grade bloodline, and did not fear him at all. The will in its eyes was as terrifying as that of a Fey emperor. He couldn't help but ask curiously, "I can tell you, but you have to give me 5 drops of your essence blood. I'll tell you this secret." The parrot suddenly jumped out and stood on Yi Qinghan's shoulder, looking at the golden rock, and said strangely, "Spirit-devouring godly eagle? 8th grade bloodline. However, you haven't successfully evolved, and you dare to speak to this emperor with such a tone? Aren't you afraid that I'll give you the death penalty? The Golden Rock's eyes flashed coldly as he scolded coldly. The 10,000 races had a strict hierarchy of bloodlines. High-grade bloodlines could not be blasphemed by low-grade bloodlines. Otherwise, it would be a capital offense. Don't be cocky with me. This divine bird is the future all-beast divine emperor. What's wrong with speaking to you in such a tone? The parrot raised its brows and asked. Kacha, the Golden Rock clenched his iron fist, and his golden bones emitted a crisp sound. The aura of a Fey emperor was incomparably terrifying. The aura of the ancient rock sacred beast had descended. He was almost atavistic. Do you want to know how to atavistic? How to quickly atavistic? If you want to know, then be more respectful. This divine bird might pity you and give you a few pointers. If you still have such an attitude, not to mention 5 drops of essence blood. Even if you give me 5 drops of your heart's blood, this divine bird will not spare it a glance. The parrot snorted coldly and looked up at the sky arrogantly, causing the Golden Rock's expression to change greatly. Chapter 243. The Golden Rock's bloodline was supreme. Once it reached atavism, it would be 30% stronger than the human emperor's bloodline. After being ridiculed by the parrot, a cold light shot out of the Golden Rock's eyes. You are the first one who dares to call yourself a divine bird in front of me. The Golden Rock looked down at the parrot on Yi Qinghan's shoulder with a domineering aura. The parrot's eyes shone with a wise light. Its expression was very human-like, giving people the impression that it was smiling disdainfully. It seems like you are not interested in atavism at all. Or perhaps you value your face too much, and will not allow others to blaspheme it. Since you value your face so much, then hang your face on the walls of the sovereign region for people to admire, the parrot mocked. The Golden Rock's eyes shone brightly as it clenched its fists. It was secretly shocked. It could not figure out the origin of the parrot. The bloodline of the 10,000 races had an innate suppression. Why was the parrot not afraid of it at all? These 2 god-slaying eagles were not afraid of it either. How can I reach atavism with the supreme holy rock bloodline? The Golden Rock asked coldly. The parrot was immediately enraged as if it had been blasphemed. It roared. I am your father. I was born to serve you. If you want to ask for guidance, can't you lower yourself? The Golden Rock's body trembled, and its face turned ferocious. It wanted nothing more than to slap the parrot into dust. The many quasi-emperors' mouths twitched. They felt that the parrot was asking for a beating. It wanted to laugh but could not. Otherwise, the Golden Rock would definitely fly into a rage and not give anyone face. Di Shang's lips curled into a mocking smile. These experts of the 10,000 races were used to being domineering. They felt that if they liked something of the human race, it would be the glory of the human race. They could even do things like snatch and steal. The parrot scolded the Golden Rock until it could not talk back. The Golden Rock snorted coldly and said, Humph, I will not bicker with you. Next time, if you dare to be disrespectful to me, I will immediately kill you. TSK. Since some supreme royalty feel that there is no need for atavism, then this divine bird will not force it. Are there any other royal bloodlines that want atavism? Come. Let's make a deal. Origin or great Tao profundity in exchange, or even royal blood is fine. The parrot was incomparably arrogant, as if it knew the secret of all the imperial sacred beasts' atavism. Unfortunately, no one believed it. Even Yi Qinghan didn't want to believe it. This guy was unreliable. The bloodline of the imperial bloodline was not strong, and it was completely dependent on cultivation. There was no shortcut. Of course, the only way was to find the remains of the imperial bloodline and extract its essence. However, the remains of the sacred beast had long since disappeared. Perhaps they had already rotted away. There was no way the parrot would know. Let's go. Don't listen to the nonsense of a little bird, said the human experts. Some Supreme King class or Imperial class bloodline powerhouses took a deep look at the parrot, then turned and charged towards the Imperial zone. Di Shang looked at Yi Qinghan and said seriously, I don't have much time left. Come back with me. I have many things to tell you. Yi Qinghan looked at the weathered Di Shang. Right now, other than sacred medicine, There was nothing else that could change Di Shang's fate and increase his vitality. Although the yin-yang flower was a sacred medicine, once it was separated, its effects would be greatly reduced. It wouldn't be able to comprehend the great Tao of yin and yang. Di Shang's combat strength wasn't bad, but it was only equivalent to the current human experts. However, compared to the people of ancient times, the difference was too great. He didn't have the qualifications to prove his Tao. If he swallowed the entire yin-yang flower, he would definitely turn into yin and yang and enter the cycle of reincarnation. Ai. Yi Qinghan sighed and nodded. Di Shang waved his hand, bringing Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi back to the Imperial Zone. The starry river flowed in reverse, and space-time reversed. Within the Thousand Dragon planet, Thousand Dragon Breaking Dawn brought the 10 young experts of the ancient race and left Thousand Dragon planet. They headed straight for the Thousand Leaf planet. They were going to use the Realm Gate to find Emperor Yi in the Imperial Zone. At this moment, all the powerhouses of the endless universe had gathered in the Imperial Zone. The powerhouses of the 10,000 races had brought their king-class shape-shifting elites to the human territory. They were all extremely powerful and looked down on all living beings. They didn't put the human race in their eyes. The human race was furious, but they didn't dare to say anything. They allowed these king-class bloodlines to sweep through the human race's young elites. Many young elites were heavily injured and many died. The ancient killing god sent out countless hunters to patrol the Imperial Zone to enforce the law. However, it was useless. The 10,000 clan elder only acted to repel the hunters. They didn't kill them. The human race couldn't do anything to them. The king-class heavenly bull bloodline, Niu Jinshan, was extremely strong. He was 2 meters tall and had 2 horns on his head. He was as strong as the human race's top immortal sex soldiers. He was invincible among his peers. Even the chief disciples of the 6 major sects wanted to challenge the human race's princes. There were at least 1,000 king-class bloodlines like Niu Jinshan. They ran rampant in the Imperial Zone, but none of the princes stood out. It wasn't that they didn't dare to fight, but that they were being watched by the royal bloodlines of the 10,000 races. Once a battle broke out, the earth would shatter, and blood would dye the battlefield red. Nangongshen led the human race's elites with a frown. There were too few martial venerables in the human race. Most of the shape-shifting king-class bloodlines were martial venerables, and most of the princes and princesses were immortal sect cultivators. They couldn't fight at all. Damn it, this is too infuriating. Are we just going to let these king-class bloodlines wreak havoc? Xiao Yunyi's eyes flashed with killing intent. Qilin Tiger and the others are waiting for us to take action. It's meaningless to fight now. Let's wait a little longer. Someone will come out to deal with these king-class bloodlines. Lin Aoqiong said indifferently. We don't know where Yi Qinghan is now. Otherwise, who in the immortal sect could be a match for Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi? Dugabatian said coldly. Everyone was helpless. The status of the hunters was too special. Once they took action, it would definitely affect the cooperation between the human race and the 10,000 races. We have overlooked a few young fellows. The young fellows of the crazy sect are all Dao masters. Even Stan Wuxia and the others feel pressured when they fight. Shirgu can definitely fight against king-class bloodlines if he unleashes his full combat strength. Even Stan Wuxia is in awe of Yimingxi. Feng Wuxia, Huang Xiaohu, and Nangong Xiaobei have already transformed. They are all giants among men. Jianchen Xue was even accepted as a direct disciple by the ancient massacre god Quasi-Emperor. Invite them out. Nangong Shun's eyes suddenly lit up. Aren't they in seclusion? Will they come out? Lin Aoqiong frowned and asked. I know those fellows. They are extremely daring. I'm afraid that they won't be able to fight. Once they know that king-class bloodlines are rampaging in the imperial domain, they will definitely rush out. Nangong Shen said confidently. Then let's each protect one of them, and make them move. We will strive to suppress the king-class bloodline's arrogance. When the other princes arrive, we will start to fight back against their royal bloodline. We can't lose the golden era of the human race. Xia Qiyue was indifferent. Her cold sword trembled slightly, and she wanted to kill her way out. The imperial domain was turbulent. Many young experts of the human race also emerged. and they could fight against king-class bloodlines. Liu Kei was a new star that rushed out of this era. He killed 3 king-class bloodlines in a row and forced 12 others to retreat. He created momentum for the human race and ignited the fighting spirit of the human race. Feng Sha returned from the Thousand Leaves star field. His body was full of killing intent, and the king-class bloodlines didn't dare to make a sound. His eyes were like the supreme killing emperor, and his combat strength was comparable to that of a prince. Although his killing robe was the lowest level, he was already qualified to be a 5-star ancient massacre god. When Nangong Shun and the others heard about it, they personally came out to welcome him. Feng Sha looked at Nangong Shun's 5-star ancient massacre god battle robe, bowed slightly and said in a low voice, "Hunter Feng Sha greets the ancient massacre god." "Ha ha ha, fellow cultivator, you don't have to be so polite. With your strength, you are enough to take the ancient massacre god test." Nangongshan looked at Feng Sha and was overjoyed. There was no jealousy, only the glory of the human race. Feng Sha frowned and looked at the princes of the human race. He asked curiously, "All the princes of the royal bloodline of the 10,000 races have come out. Why did only the few of you come out?" "I don't know why, but the 9 Dao Realm disciples of the 9 great saints didn't come out. Only the Zhan family's Dao Realm Zhan Gu said that the Qilin tiger is his opponent. However, he hasn't come out of seclusion yet. He only sent a follower to pass the message," Nangongshan said in a low voice. "We will let the people of the insane sect attack. Feng Sha, do you want to protect one of them and let them kill and suppress the king-class bloodlines?" Nangongshan asked. "Okay, I will protect the golden bloodline, see Wuxia." Feng Sha was arrogant. The soul-devouring blade on his back wanted to devour everything. "I will protect Yi Mingxi," Xia Ziluo said proudly. As long as the divine martial experts didn't attack, no one could bully Yi Mingxi. Everyone assigned their targets and rushed to the main hall where the insane sect was stationed. At this time, the people of the insane sect were suppressed by Muyo Tianqian and were cultivating in seclusion. They didn't know what was happening outside. "Daoist Tianqian, please come out of seclusion," Nangongshan shouted in a low voice. His voice penetrated the defensive formation. Muyo Tianqian was awakened. He waved his hand and appeared in front of everyone. He didn't expect so many princes to come here. He asked in surprise, "Fellow cultivators, what's the matter? Why are you all gathered here?" "Daoist Tianqian, the human race and the 10,000 races are working together. Now the 10,000 races have sent out a large number of king-class bloodlines to wipe out our younger generation. We are being watched by the royal bloodline and can't attack. We want to ask the disciples of the insane sect to attack and fight for the human race," Nangongshan said with cupped fists. "A group of rascals dares to cause trouble in the human race's imperial domain. I'll go and suppress them now." Si Wuxia's eyes were like the scorching sun. His golden hair surged as he stepped out of the main hall. "There's a fight? Count me in." Huang Xiaohu's temperament had changed. He had become more serious, but his nature couldn't change. He was still so battle-hungry. Yi Mingxi's eyes were hazy. She was sleeping while others were in seclusion. However, her battle strength was increasing. Her cultivation level was also rising. She had already reached the great martial venerable realm. "Who are we fighting? Who bullied the insane sect?" Yi Mingxi looked at everyone in confusion and asked curiously. Shergu came out with a brick. His eyes were full of light as he looked for someone to attack. After searching for a long time, he only found a few king-class experts in front of him. He was very depressed. Feng Wuxia's temperament was outstanding. He was like a rich young master. His aura was restrained, and he didn't look like an expert at all. He was gentle and elegant as he appeared in front of everyone. Nangongshan and the others looked at the younger generation of the insane sect and were secretly delighted. These children's battle strength was definitely much more terrifying than many great martial venerables who had cultivated for hundreds of years. They were enough to suppress some of the king-class bloodlines. Chapter 244. In the eastern city, a big city in the imperial region, Niu Jinshan's arrogance soared to the sky as he provoked everyone. "Human trash, I'll give you a handicap of 1 cultivation level. Do you dare to fight me? An angry roar shook 1,000 miles and spread to every corner of the big city. The aura of an invincible king suppressed everyone, and the faces of the human race turned ugly. I'll fight you. A figure rushed out of the eastern city and turned into a sharp sword, like a rainbow piercing the sun, and charged towards Niu Jinshan. Boom! The two golden horns on Niu Jinshan's head smashed towards his opponent, and the fifth-grade combat weapon shattered. His fist shattered the void and landed on his opponent's body. The martial revered expert did not even have the chance to resist, and was smashed into pieces. His vitality was suppressed and he died on the spot. The city walls were dyed red with blood, and it was a ghastly sight. This is too much. You want to kill as soon as you attack. How is this a challenge? You're obviously here to kill. The experts from the immortal sects were furious. They stood out and glared at Niu Jinshan. A bunch of trash. The path of cultivation is to walk on corpses. Since you're useless, don't cultivate. Niu Jinshan looked coldly at the experts, not caring about them at all. If they dared to attack, the protectors behind him would definitely suppress them. The human experts would not be able to say anything. Arrogant and despotic. The eastern city has been passed down for 10,000 years. Don't tell me we can't deal with a stupid bull like you. In the eastern city, the strongest of the younger generation, Dongfang Fengyun, stepped out of the ancient city with an immortal sect battle sword in his hand. His aura soared into the sky, and the aura of a king filled the air as he looked down on Niu Jinshan. Another piece of trash coming to die. I'll grant you your wish. Niu Jinshan sneered in disdain, and the veins on his body bulged. His horns were a top-grade immortal sect Dao weapon that could destroy all combat weapons, and ordinary immortal sect Dao weapons. I'll kill you today. Dongfang Fengyun was incomparably domineering. He unsheathed his Dao weapon and inserted it into the stone floor. He formed a seal with his palms and controlled the world with his sword. Imperial sword technique, 10,000 swords attack. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A single sword transformed into a myriad of swords that soared through the sky and looked down upon Niu Jinshan. They were like numerous sharp arrows that were about to pierce through the sky, and could kill a myriad of enemies. Celestial body protection. 10,000 impenetrable. Niu Jinshan's aura erupted as his entire body shone with a golden light, suppressing everyone present. With a shake of his horns, they detached from his body and appeared in his hand. His face was filled with arrogance, completely ignoring Dongfang Fengyun. Slash. Whoosh. Dongfang Fengyun controlled the battle sword with his fingertips. Tens of thousands of swords shot out in unison, shattering the void and stirring up the wind and clouds. Spiritual energy gathered, and was forcefully conscripted. Boom boom boom. The sword chi had a physical form and could kill a great martial saint. 10,000 sword chi could destroy a powerful battle team. At this moment, they were attacking Niu Jinshan with all their might. The sword chi rushed into the clouds and crashed into Niu Jinshan's celestial dipper shield. The ear-piercing sound penetrated everyone's eardrums, but it could not penetrate his defense. Trash. Niu Jinshan's face was filled with disdain. If the 10,000 swords were as one and did not disperse their strength, they might be able to penetrate his defenses. But with the 10,000 swords attacking together, the strength was dispersed. He did not need much strength to defend himself, and could block Dongfang Fengyun's attack. Dongfang Fengyun's attack seemed beautiful, but unfortunately, his true essence was impure and his combat strength was greatly weakened. This was where he was lacking. He didn't have much combat experience and wasn't a match for a myriad race king level bloodline. Die. Niu Jinshan exploded and waved his two golden horns, smashing through space and destroying Dongfang Fengyun's immortal sect Dao soldier. Dongfang Fengyun was shocked. He did not expect the opponent's golden horns to be able to destroy his immortal sect Dao soldier. His face turned ugly as he dodged quickly. He was being chased by Niu Jinshan until he was in a sorry state. The human race was furious. Dongfang City had 10,000 years of inheritance. The number one expert in the city was actually defeated by a myriad race expert. There was no other way. Dongfang Fengyun had no combat experience, and his equipment was 100 times worse than the opponent. How could he be compared to Niu Jinshan? Trash. Do you only know how to dodge? Where is the glory of your human race? Niu Jinshan sneered. He waved his golden horn and pierced through space. The energy swept past Dongfang Fingyun's waist. Pooh! Dongfang Fingyun's immortal sect Dao robe was cut open, and his waist was almost broken. He coughed out blood, and was about to be suppressed to the point of death. Ha ha ha, trash will always be trash. Even a golden era can't save you. This golden era is destined to belong to the myriad races. Niu Jinshan laughed maniacally. He raised his leg, and was about to kill Dongfang Fengyan. The human race experts could not bear to watch. The Grand Marshal revered was furious. The divine martial experts were all out but could not make a move. A brute bull dares to trample on the dignity of the human race. If you dare to take this step, I'll tear your head off and hang it on the city wall. An angry roar shook heaven and earth. The aura of the golden bloodline was vast and mighty. Half the sky was dyed golden yellow. Stan Wuxia stepped down indifferently like a human emperor. He looked to be only 12 or 13 years old, but his divine appearance was as majestic as an emperor. Niu Jinshan had just raised his leg when he was locked down by an aura. He did not dare to take another step. The qi and blood in his body were frozen. The human race shouted. Finally, a true expert of the human race stood out. But when they saw that the one who came was actually a 12 or 13-year-old child, they could not help but be shocked. The human race will win. Someone shouted. The ancient city of Dongfang, which had been silent for 10,000 years, was completely boiling. Countless experts rushed out of the ancient city and stared at Stan Wuxia. They could not wait to transform into him and fight personally. The peak of the Dao Master realm. A 12 or 13-year-old peak Dao Master had suppressed Niu Jinshan, a Grand Marshal revered, with his aura. Golden light shot out from his eyes, bursting with the will of an emperor. Niu Jinshan was suppressed by the golden bloodline. His qi and blood were not flowing smoothly. He stared at Stan Wuxia and smiled slightly. His physical body was unparalleled. Even without the support of qi and blood, he was not someone a little guy could compete with. Kid, are you weaned? How dare you meddle in my business? Niu Jinshan sneered and mocked. Ignorant bull, it doesn't matter if I'm weaned or not. But I'll beat you back home to drink milk. Stan Wuxia's bloodline could not be blasphemed. He was majestic and reached out to grab Niu Jinshan. You're courting death. Niu Jinshan was furious. Even the sovereign prince of the human race dared not look down on him and use his physical body to grab him. Boom. The golden horn shattered the shackles and brought with it a torrential qi and wanted to kill Stan Wuxia. How dare you attack me? I'll beat you to death. Stan Wuxia was furious. He reached out to grab the golden horn. His body shone with golden light. The golden bloodline was awakened and suppressed the qi and blood of all living beings in the eastern city. Boom. The golden horn could break the Dao weapons of the immortal sect, but it could not break Stan Wuxia's arm. He clenched his little hand and held the golden horn. No matter how hard Niu Jinshan struggled, he could not break free from the iron arms. Slap. Stan Wuxia was furious. He waved his left hand and slapped Niu Jinshan hard. Niu Jinshan was dizzy from the slap. Before he could explode, Stan Wuxia lifted his leg and kicked Niu Jinshan's face. Bang! Niu Jinshan let go of the golden horn, and Stan Wuxia took it away. He waved his hand and it disappeared without a trace. Bang! 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 Stan Wuxia's physical body exploded. He clenched his iron fist and punched Niu Jinshan's head. His qi and blood were not flowing smoothly, and he could not react quickly. Niu Jinshan was stunned. Today, I'll beat you until your parents can't recognize you. Turn into an ordinary bull, and go back to the mortal world to drink milk. Bang! Slaps and punches alternated. The golden battle qi broke Niu Jinshan's skin and flesh. Even his celestial star defense was shattered. Ah! Niu Jinshan roared. He wanted to break free from Stan Wuxia's control, but he could not escape. Boom! Wuxia kicked Niu Jinshan in the chest and sent him straight into the ground. The entire eastern city's walls trembled, causing the humans to shudder in fear. Turn back to your original form. I'll let you turn back to your original form. Slap, slap, slap. Bang, bang. The crisp sound of slaps on the face made Niu Jinshan angry. He turned back to his bull form. There was only one horn left on his head, but it was still terrifying. Brat! I'm going to kill you. Niu Jinshan's anger soared into the sky. His back hooves shattered the ground. He turned into a bolt of lightning and crashed towards Stan Wuxia. The force of this collision was at least 1,000,000 jin. It could kill an immortal sect expert. Be careful. The human expert's palms were sweating. They could feel Niu Jinshan's killing intent. Stan Wuxia sneered. His feet landed on the ground and his body leaned forward. He stretched out his palms slightly. The veins on his body were bulging. He was going to fight Niu Jinshan head-on. Damn, what an arrogant brat. Where did this brat come from? He's terrifying. Everyone's hair stood on end. They looked at Stan Wuxia in horror. They were all sweating for him. Niu Jinshan's golden horn emitted the aura of an immortal sect's Dao soldier. It was filled with runes. It broke through the void and charged towards Stan Wuxia. Boom. Ah. Stan Wuxia grabbed the bull's horn with one hand, and the giant bull's neck with the other. He roared. Golden light shone from his body. The ground cracked from his stomp. His clothes exploded. His 5-star killing robe flapped loudly. Get up. Even though he had the strength to pick up mountains and an unparalleled aura, that was all there was to it. Stan Wuxia lifted Niu Jinshan up and smashed him into the ground. Boom. The city walls shook. The city protection array's 5-colored divine light shone brightly. Everyone was so scared that they stopped breathing. Moo. Niu Jinshan screamed miserably. His flesh and blood exploded. He felt that his bull horn was about to be pulled out by Stan Wuxia. He curled up and did not dare to resist. He allowed Stan Wuxia to attack him crazily. Go and get a cow. This emperor wants to see it drink milk today. I'll go. Leave this matter to me. An immortal sect expert's blood was boiling. It was as if he had defeated Niu Jinshan. He rushed into the city excitedly. Dongfang Fingyun's mouth twitched. Only now did he understand how big the difference was between him and those imperial princes. He was beaten up by a king-class demonic beast to the point that he could not fight back. As for those with king-class bloodline, they could not fight back at all. The difference between them was more than 10,000 miles. Boom. The void shattered. A powerful god martial realm expert appeared outside Dongfang City. He looked down at Stan Wuxia and said coldly, Brat, you've won. Why do you have to humiliate him? Let him go. We'll leave immediately. What a joke. He can kill people, but I can't humiliate him? He dared to humiliate me. I'm going to beat him until he drinks milk today. You better shut up. Otherwise, I'll kill him directly. Stan Wuxia was incomparably domineering. He looked coldly at the heavenly bull race expert and scolded him with disdain. Chapter 245. See, Wuxia was strong and didn't give the heavenly bull tribe any face. This shocked the human race. The myriad races were powerful. Even the geniuses of the human race didn't dare to go against the royal experts of the demon race. Was Si Wuxia really not afraid of death? Niu Patian, the elder of the heavenly bull tribe and Niu Jinshan's Dao protector, frowned and asked coldly, Brat, don't be too arrogant. Which sect are you from? I'm from the insane sect. Why? Do you want revenge? That depends on whether your heavenly bull tribe has the guts to do so. Si Wuxia was incomparably arrogant. He was the epitome of Guangzong's arrogance. On this day, the name of Guangzong resounded throughout the imperial domain and spread to all corners of the world. Guangzong? He was indeed arrogant. Other than the Dao realm's sacred grounds, no other race or sect dares to go against my heavenly bull tribe. Niu Patian was arrogant and didn't put the human race in his eyes. Stan Wuxia was even more arrogant. His golden hair flew up, and he interrupted him. He said disdainfully, That's not necessarily true. My crazy sect dares to go against your Longhorn Beetle clan, and we can kill you all in an instant. If you're not convinced, you can suppress your cultivation level and fight me. I'll allow you to fight me at the Immortal Gate realm. Crazy. He was so arrogant that even the imperial prince himself wouldn't dare to speak to Niu Patian in such a manner. Fuck, where did this Guangzong come from? How arrogant. Is sect master a 9th level quasi-emperor? Everyone looked at each other, frightened by Stan Wuxia. Actually, Stan Wuxia wasn't afraid of a divine martial expert at all. Just the array within his 5 stars killing robe was enough to block a divine martial expert's attack. Even a fake emperor's full-force attack wouldn't be able to kill him. If Neopatian dared to make a move against him, he would definitely be smashed into pieces by a human boundary emperor. Neopotion's mouth corner twitched. He had never been humiliated like this by a junior. Even the Qilin and the Tiger King had to respectfully call him senior. However, today, he was humiliated by a human kid who hadn't even grown out his hair yet. The cold light in his eyes had already turned into sharp weapons. As a senior, you should have the bearing of a senior. You'd better not interfere in the matters of the younger generation. Otherwise, don't blame the quasi-emperors for taking action. You quasi-emperors of the myriad races have no right to say anything. With a cold snort, ice froze everything within 1,000 miles. Everyone felt a chill on their backs, and they all raised their heads to look into the distance. Feng Sha carried the soul-devouring Tachi on his back and stepped forward. His might alone shook the 9 heavens. His entire body was like a soul-devouring golden blade, ready to slash at the hearts of all the heroes. Who are you? Neopatian was startled. He didn't expect to draw out a young imperial prince. You can treat me as this child's guardian. Feng Sha replied indifferently, using the crown prince as a Dao protector. The corner of Neopotion's mouth twitched, and his hair stood on end. He looked at Si Wuxia. He never thought that Si Wuxia had the golden bloodline. However, it was not hard to imagine that the insane sect, which could have a crown prince as a guardian, was definitely a terrifying sect. Perhaps it was a superpower that had been hidden from the world for thousands of years. It was not inferior to a Dao realm holy land. You're an emperor's disciple, yet you're willing to be the guardian of a brat who's still wet behind the ears. Where is your Dao heart? Neopatian mocked. So what? For someone like you, even if you're his guardian, he doesn't need it. Feng Sha's Dao heart was so firm that it was not something that could be defeated by others. Neopotion's mouth twitched. He clenched his fists and turned to look at Si Wuxia. He saw that Niu Jinshan couldn't move under his feet. The murderous intent in his eyes grew thicker. Kid, let him go. If you dare to say another word, I'll crush his head. Si Wuxia replied aggressively. Everyone's breathing stagnated. The celestial sex experts on the city wall were stunned by Si Wuxia's arrogance. Whoosh! The divine martial artists in the city were awakened. 7 divine martial artists appeared in front of Si Wuxia and confronted Neopatian. Let the younger generation settle the battle between themselves. You sent a king bloodline to provoke the human race. You could have suppressed him, but you wanted to kill him. Did the human race's experts stand up and say anything? If you can't afford to lose, don't come out. Don't embarrass yourself. Dongfang Yao, the leader of the ancient Dongfang tribe, scolded coldly. What? Do you want to bully me with your numbers? Neopatian questioned. That's because you bullied me first. If you don't want face, don't blame others for not giving you face. Si Wuxia replied coldly. Moo! A sorrowful roar reverberated in all directions. The celestial sex expert who left earlier pulled a cow out of nowhere. It was a cow that had just given birth. Milk flowed out like flowing water, causing everyone to look at each other. Give it to me. I'll let him know who hasn't weaned yet. Si Wuxia was still a child, but he hated it when others looked down on him and treated him like an immature child. Hence, he was angered by Niu Jinshan and wanted to compete with him. That celestial sex expert was from the Dongfang family. He was Dongfang Fengyun's 9th uncle. Dongfang Jun Si Wuxia had saved Dongfang Fengyun, and he was already very grateful. Now that he wanted to humiliate Niu Jinshan, he couldn't help but grin. He carried the cow and rushed over. Young master, catch. Dongfang Jun was eager to see the world in chaos. He carried the cow to Si Wuxia and put it down. Si Wuxia looked down at Niu Jinshan, grabbed the cow's reins and said coldly, Do you want to drink milk or die? Niu Jinshan's eyes were filled with tears. This was simply a great humiliation, an unbearable humiliation. It was more painful than being slaughtered. It growled continuously, trying to break free from Si Wuxia's suppression. Ka ka ka. Si Wuxia clenched his iron fist, and his golden bloodline erupted with overwhelming majesty. The corner of his mouth rose, and he said indifferently, I hate repeating my words. I'll only give you 3 breaths of time. Die or drink milk. Si Wuxia released his foot and took half a step back, his eyes filled with killing intent. 1, 2. Mu Niu Jinshan cried. He knelt under the cow and sucked the milk with all his might. Ha 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 ha. The humans roared with laughter. This was too satisfying. Niu Jinshan had fought all the way and killed countless experts of the human race. Today he was humiliated by a 12 or 13-year-old kid. It would be difficult for him to raise his head in this lifetime. He probably wouldn't even dare to enter the human race's territory. Dong Fengyao sneered. He was secretly satisfied, but he didn't hide it on his face. Satisfying. Guangzong. Guangzong. Everyone cheered, and their voices shook the sky. Niu Potion's face was ferocious, and his killing intent surged. Boom. Si Wuxia's mouth revealed a trace of mockery. He lifted his foot and kicked Niu Jinshan away. I won't kill you, but if you dare to cause trouble in the human race's territory again, I will definitely kill my way to your hometown. Get lost. After Si Wuxia finished speaking, he looked at Feng Sha and asked seriously, Where are we going next? Lord Nangongshan sent a message. An invincible expert of the 10,000 races appeared in Half Moon City. Let's go. Feng Sha carried Si Wuxia and flew into the sky. In the blink of an eye, they disappeared without a trace. However, there was still a terrifying murderous aura in the air. In the west of the Imperial region, the experts of the human race and the elites of the 10,000 races were fighting in the wilderness. At least 10 king-class elites of the 10,000 races were gathered here. They looked at the hundreds of young elites of the human race with disdain. Lu Kei was also here. However, he was covered in blood and was obviously severely injured. However, his combat strength was definitely the strongest among the younger generation, except for the Thearcha's son. Lu Kei, do you still want to struggle with just you alone? That's right, Lu Quebec. If you are willing to put down your pride and kneel down and call me Master Monkey, I will spare your life and accept you as my follower. Ha ha ha. Everyone says that the human race is glorious. There are more than 100 elites, but only one of them is decent. TSK. They can't even withstand a single blow. More than 10 king-class elites crossed their arms and laughed. Their formation was scattered and they did not take Lu Kei and the others seriously at all. Lu Kei's eyes were almost spitting fire. His combat strength could at most withstand the combined attacks of 2 king-class elites. However, the 100 great martial venerables behind him were no match for them. They had fought 3 rounds in a row and lost all of them. They had also lost more than 10 lives. It was a great humiliation. Kneel down. Otherwise, don't blame us for being ruthless. We will bury all of you here. Kneel down. 13 king-class elites joined forces and suppressed the others. Their murderous aura was overbearing, and they wanted to humiliate the human race elites. I would rather die than be humiliated. Come on, even if I die in battle today, I will kill both of you. Lu Kei was furious and looked coldly at the crowd. His lips curled into a cold and cruel smile. Whoever was targeted today would have to admit that they were unlucky. Kill. As long as we are alive, the glory of the human race will never be extinguished. Nearly 100 elites roared in unison, ignoring the wounds on their bodies and the blood that was spurting everywhere. Kill them. The king-class spiritual monkey stepped forward and stared at Lu Quebec. As long as he was entangled, the human race was nothing to be afraid of. TSK, you are really arrogant. If you were not so ugly, I would have thought that you were from the arrogant sect. Shergu held a long blade of grass in his mouth and a big brick in his hand. He waved it left and right and looked provocatively at the king-class elites. Who are you calling ugly? Are you looking for death? Where did this bastard come from? The king-class elite scolded. One of the great martial venerables, whose true form was unknown, pounced on Shergu. His sharp claws tore through the void and aimed for Sherji's throat. Take my brick to reverse the universe. Boom. Sherji's true yuan poured out, and the golden brick shone brightly. It left his hand and smashed towards the incoming figure. Its speed was as fast as lightning, and it tore through the void. It was as if the king-level figure was charging towards him on his own accord. Pa. Kacha. Ah. The 40-meter-sized golden brick smashed into the 28-meter-sized opponent's face. With a crisp sound, the human's cheekbone was shattered, and all his teeth were broken. Blood spurted out into the air, and his miserable shriek caused everyone's expression to change drastically. The king-class elite's body was like a kite with a broken string. He fell backward and landed on the ground with a loud boom. He held his head with both hands and his body convulsed. His brain was like paste, and he had no idea what was going on. TSK, I thought your head was stronger than my golden brick. I was wondering why you dared to smash your face into my golden brick. So you were looking for death on purpose? Shergu flicked his tongue and spat out the blade of grass. His face was full of disdain. The spirit monkey and the other king-class elites' faces changed. They glared at Shergu with vigilance. Chapter 246. Shergu waved his hand, and the golden brick returned to his hand. He stepped forward and stood in front of Liu Kei and the others. He taunted. What kind of animals are you? Stand out and let me see your true forms. I'll see which one is suitable to be my mount. You'll be rich in the future. Fellow cultivator, be careful. They're all king-level bloodlines. There's a monkey king, a tiger king, and a lion-eagle king. Liu Kei reminded in a low voice. There's also a bastard. I heard that this kind of king-level bloodline is the strongest. I wonder how strong you are with two bloodlines. Stand out and let me see. Maybe I'll choose you. Shiji's eyes were like stars as he looked down at the king-level cultivators. It was as if he was choosing prey. How could the king-level cultivators be humiliated like this? They were all enraged and started to fight. Boom. The 11 streams of energy were incomparably sharp as they tore through the void and surrounded Shergu tightly. Heaven and earth are limitless. The brick is invincible. With the golden brick in my hand, the world is mine. I'll take care of you demons. Shergu controlled the golden brick, and its aura spread out. The golden brick instantly covered the sky and pressed down from the void. Damn. It's a divine martial weapon. Run. Ah. The 11 king-level cultivators were shocked and fled in all directions. Stay here. Shergu controlled the golden brick and directly suppressed the 11 king-level cultivators. They were trapped in the same place and their legs were crushed. They knelt on the ground. You're courting death. Junior, how dare you use a divine martial weapon to suppress the same level as you? The king-level cultivators of the 10,000 races broke through the void and pressed down on the golden brick. Their aura caused Liu Kei and the others to cough up blood and fly backward. Hum. A sword roared in the void. Xiaqiyue used all her strength. She could break through the sun, moon, mountains, and rivers with her sword piercing through the heavens and shattering the attacks of the king-level cultivators. Everything within 1,000 miles was frozen. She appeared in front of Shergu. Her emperor's battle robe fluttered as she coldly looked at the king-level cultivators. You'd better not attack. Since you're here to challenge me, you have to accept the rules. The matters of the younger generation are the matters of the younger generation. Xiaqiyue scolded coldly. Xiaqiyue, the prince of the heavenly dragon sacred dynasty? The king-level cultivator clenched his fists and asked coldly. Yes. So it's best if you don't force me to take action. There's no benefit for you. I've killed divine martial experts before. Xiaqiyue looked coldly at the newcomer. Her eyes shot out cold light that froze everything within 1,000 li. The god martial expert's eyes were cold as he said disdainfully. Don't compare me with the god martial experts of the human race. Killing a god martial expert is nothing. I could have done it when I was young too. Also, this little guy is fighting with a divine martial Dao soldier. It is not fair at all. I have to fight. Fair? What was fairness? Is it fair for someone with a king bloodline to beat someone with a mortal bloodline? He has a divine martial Dao weapon. That's a reflection of his luck and combat strength. You can't interfere. Otherwise, don't blame me for interfering as well. Xiaqiyue warned. TSK. Xiaqiyue, why don't you have a match with this emperor? The Qilin tiger stepped on the Tiger King's supreme body. His hands supported the blue sky and white clouds as he powerfully descended. The great Tao rumbled. The battle prowess of the Emperor's son was also at a high cultivation level. His words and actions followed the law. And with a casual move, he could mobilize the power of the heavens, pressuring people until they coughed up blood. Xia Qiyue flickered. Her fingertips moved the hilt of the divine weapon as she coldly looked at the Qilin tiger. Then she said to Shirgu and the others, "All of you step back." Shirgu took back the gold brick and looked at the king realm transformation with an evil smile. He didn't care about the divine martial expert and the Qilin tiger at all. Their battle prowess was high because they had cultivated for countless years. When he reached that age, he might be much stronger than them. The battle between the Emperor's sons was about to erupt. The divine martial expert looked down at Shirgu coldly. The heavenly might was vast and mighty, pressuring people until they couldn't breathe. The Qilin tiger was considered the strongest of the Emperor's sons. He was also one of the strongest of the younger generation so far. His cultivation level was the highest. Xia Qiyue, the crown prince of the Sky Dragon Sacred Dynasty, was at the 9th level of the Immortal Gate. He could kill ordinary divine martial experts. His battle prowess was not much different from the Great Emperor when he was young. When the Great Emperor was young, he was at the 9th level of the Immortal Gate and had killed a top divine martial expert. And it was a king bloodline. That kind of terrifying existence was incomparable. Xia Qiyue revealed a cold smile. He had long wanted to kill them. First, he would kill the Emperor's son of the other side, and he was the strongest. It would definitely be a fatal blow to the 10,000 races. The human race would definitely be glorious. The cold sword was unsheathed. Its light illuminated the 9 heavens, and its aura filled the sky. "Brother Xia, this battle is mine." Boom. A surge of battle intent shattered the heavenly might. The terrifying aura shocked the elites of the human race. This kind of battle intent had surpassed everything. No one in the younger generation had such a terrifying battle intent. Zhang Gu of the Zhan family's Dao realm. Other than him, there were not many people in the Immortal Gate realm who could release such a terrifying battle intent. Just the battle intent alone could suppress those in the same realm to not dare to attack. Even divine martial experts had to retreat. Xia Qiyue raised her eyebrows. She was worried that no one would suppress the divine martial experts, and they would attack the younger generation. She didn't expect Zhang Gu to come. Hua! Zhang Gu, who was dressed in golden clothes, broke through the air. He held a golden war spear in his hand. His eyes were like the sun, as if a god of war had descended. His aura caused everyone to tense up. Even existences like Xia Qiyue and the Qilin tiger were extremely serious. "Qilin tiger, I've already asked Little Helper to send you a message. The battle between you and me is inevitable. Let's do it today." Zhang Gu was as handsome as jade. He was incomparably vigorous. His words were filled with an irrefutable will. Zhang Ji's battle blood was extremely dense. There were already signs of ancestral awakening. Once it succeeded, it would be as if the war ancestor had personally arrived. He could kill the dead spirits of the forbidden grounds and make all races submit. Is the Zhan family's Dao realm also glorious? Seeing that you haven't shown yourself, I thought you were a coward. The Qilin tiger was indifferent. The unruly evil smile at the corner of his mouth was unbearable. He looked at Zhang Gu provocatively and said indifferently, "I don't know if your battle strength matches your battle intent. I'll let my mount fight with you to test you." The Qilin tiger was extremely arrogant. He didn't want to fight with Zhang Gu at all. He actually let his mount, the Tiger King, fight with Zhang Gu. He clearly looked down on Zhang Gu and the human race. Although the Tiger King was very strong and could even kill people like Liu Kei, there was still a gap between him and a true emperor, especially an existence like Zhang Gu. Zhang Gu held his golden spear tightly. He was furious. Extremely arrogant. Even my little helper isn't willing to fight with this kind of trash. You're using him to make up the numbers. Are you at your wit's end? Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. I'll trample on your battle bones and drink your battle blood to strengthen my determination to prove my Tao. The Qilin tiger clenched his iron fist. The Qilin tiger's arm shone with golden light, enough to shatter the immortal sect's Taoist robe. I think so too. Zhang Gu exuded an oppressive aura as he replied indifferently. Xia Qiyue's lips curled up. Her eyes were fierce. She didn't fight with Zhang Gu. After all, Zhang Gu had already announced this battle to the world. Thus, she slowly retreated and looked coldly at the god martial realm expert. A great battle was about to break out. This had alarmed the Boundary Emperor in the center of the imperial domain. He personally sent a fake emperor here. Stop. Pass down the Boundary Emperor's decree. The emperors are not allowed to participate in private fights. Otherwise, they will be severely punished. The first row of emperors will be executed as a warning to others. The fake emperor expert warned coldly. Why can't we fight privately? There has never been such a rule in the past. The Qilin tiger questioned coldly. Right now, the endless universe is in turmoil. The emperors are the most precious treasures of the endless universe. None of them can be injured. At the very least, they can't die in an internal fight. If you want to fight, you can go to the center of the imperial domain. The Boundary Emperor will personally oversee it. It can guarantee that there won't be any deaths. The fake emperor expert threw down this sentence. He gave Xia Qiyue and the others a warning look before turning to leave. Zhang Gu was unwilling. However, the Boundary Emperor's decree must have been discussed by all the Boundary Emperors. No one could go against it. Consider yourself lucky. Otherwise, I'll definitely kill you today, Zhang Gu said domineeringly. The Qilin tiger sneered and didn't reply. He said coldly to Shirgu, Brat, I'm warning you. If you dare to take out the divine martial golden brick to fight with someone of the same realm, don't blame me for being impolite. Shirji's aura stagnated. Then it exploded. He sneered. Who do you think you are? Warn me. The people of the Kuang sect aren't afraid of you. The Qilin tiger was furious. He waved his Qilin arm and smashed it at Shirgu. Boom. Xia Qiyue drew her sword and pointed it at the Qilin tiger. She stood in front of Shirgu and said indifferently, You're a ninth heaven immortal sect imperial bloodline. How shameless can you be against a human great martial honorable? The Qilin tiger looked through the shackles and stared at Shirgu. His killing intent surged as he said coldly, The Kuang sect. I'll remember this. One day, I'll let the Kuang sect understand that there's a price to pay for your arrogance. One day, you'll be trampled under the feet of the people of the Kuang sect. Shirgu wasn't afraid at all. He fought back strongly. With two emperor's sons protecting him, who could do anything to him? I do believe that. Xia Qiyue coldly replied. The people of the Kuang sect were everywhere in the imperial domain. They swept through everything. Nangong Xiaobei had transformed and killed 7 royal transfiguration bloodlines. His power was monstrous. Everywhere he passed, he was covered in blood. He drew out the protectors of thousands of clans. However, he was stopped by Muyo Tianqian and the divine martial artists of the human race. Yi Mingxi's speed was unparalleled. Although she didn't kill anyone, her title of Little Witch had spread throughout the imperial domain. Feng Wuxia was elegant and charming. He didn't look like a cultivator. Instead, he looked like a gentle and elegant young master. His moves were smooth and unrestrained. He defeated more than 10 experts in a row and was called the Son of Wind. Huang Xiaohu was a weirdo. His profound of the law of gravity was close to the minor perfection realm. Any expert who approached him was instantly crushed into a pile of flesh and blood. They didn't even have the strength to resist. No one dared to approach him. The name of the Kuang sect was officially known. Countless people were inquiring about the Kuang sect, asking if they were accepting disciples and wanted to join. At this moment, Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi were brought back to the ancient massacre god by Di Shang. Di Shang's hair was white. He could live for 3 to 5 years at most. For a boundary emperor, this was just a blink of an eye. Qinghan, I can't hold on anymore. I can't see the glory of the human race. Di Shang's voice was sad. He had protected the human race for 1,000 years. It was a golden era, but he was about to die. No one could understand his sorrow. Chapter 247. Di Shang stared at the Killing God prison, painting on the wall of the Killing God palace. This painting described the process of the Killing God Emperor suppressing the gods. It was like a world of its own, and only a quasi-emperor could comprehend it. If a false emperor saw it, their Tao heart would shatter. Only 3 quasi-emperors could enter this place. Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi were the first juniors to enter. Yi Qinghan ignored the Killing God prison painting. Emperor Yi blocked it with his divine sense, so he didn't try to comprehend it. He only looked at Di Shang respectfully. Qinghan, this old man is useless and can no longer protect the human race. Emperor Yi has the supreme zither immortal crimson demon physique, and Si Wuxia has the golden bloodline. They only trust you, so you must protect them well. They are the hope of the human race. Di Shang stared at Yi Qinghan and said in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan nodded and didn't say anything. Di Shang's decision to place his hopes on these 2 was the best decision. The insane sect has no foundation. After I reach Tao actualization, I will bestow the human sovereign sword to you. You can command the ancient Killing God. I hope it will help you walk further and further. However, I hope you can agree to one condition of mine. Di Shang said in a hoarse voice. Yi Qinghan was shocked. Would the ancient Killing God agree to bestow the human sovereign sword to a young Tao sovereign like him? Would the other quasi-emperors agree? Everyone had their own selfish motives. It was impossible to be truly selfless. What did Di Shang want from him that he could use the human sovereign sword as a condition? Master, please tell me. If Qinghan can do it, I will do it even if I have to die 10,000 times. Yi Qinghan bowed and replied. Everyone knows that I, Di Shang, have no descendants, but that's not true. This old man has a son. When he was 6 years old, I sealed him in the all-ultimate divine crystal, and placed him in the human race's ancestral land. It's been 1,000 years, but he has no memories, and he hasn't grown. Di Shang revealed the secret that he had kept in his heart for a long time. Even the other 2 quasi-emperors didn't know about it. Yi Qinghan was shocked. He didn't understand why a 6-year-old child had been sealed away and placed in the human race's ancestral land. That was a place where the emperors might soar to the heavens, where the laws permeated the air, and where the source energy gathered. To a powerhouse, there were indescribable benefits, but to a child it would likely be counterproductive. You must be very curious as to why I would be so cruel as to seal my own son in the ancestral land of the human race. Listen to me. Di Shang's eyes were filled with sorrow. For thousands of years he had a son, but he didn't dare to recognize him, see him, or even let him come out. He doesn't have an ordinary physique. I don't know if this physique can be compared to the human emperor's physique, but I do know that his physique definitely surpasses that of an ordinary emperor's son. When he was born, his body was wrapped in the mark of a golden dragon. His 9 claws reached the heavens, and his divine might was vast and mighty, as if a great emperor had descended. I spent a great deal of effort to seal the mark in his body, but as he grew older, I found it harder and harder to seal him. In the end, I could only seal him together with his body and place him in the ancestral land of the human race. I hoped that one day, I would be able to prove my Tao and protect him as he grew. Yi Qinghan sucked in a breath of cold air. Born with a golden dragon wrapped around his body. What kind of strange physique was this? It had probably never appeared even now. This is the divine dragon Tao physique. At the end of the Age of Desolation, one appeared. Unfortunately, before he could mature, he was killed by a dead spirit, which led to the end of the Age of Desolation. Back then, the heavenly Tao sent down heavenly punishment, suppressing even the emperor-level dead spirit and shattering the forbidden land. The divine Guqin and Emperor Ye's palm moved, and a large amount of memories regarding the divine dragon Tao physique flowed into his consciousness. Di Shang was shocked. This dragon bone Guqin had been passed down for countless eras, and there was nothing it did not know. Even if it had not been awakened, it could still kill a quasi-emperor. Once it was awakened, it would be comparable to the descent of a great emperor of the human race. What it said must be true. Yi Qinghan's expression was solemn. The birth of such a physique was indeed not something that a false emperor could protect. Even a quasi-emperor would find it difficult. From what Di Shang meant, he was prepared to let his son be born, and let himself be his guardian. Master, you mean? Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. It was already lucky that he was able to protect Emperor Yi. Adding on Si Wuxia, he would be targeted by the dead spirits of the Forbidden Land sooner or later. If he had a terrifying divine dragon Dao physique, he would have to be careful at all times. That's right. I hope that he can be revived and join the insane sect. You have to protect him until he grows up, Di Shang said in a deep voice. But don't say that he's my son. I've fought countless battles in my life and made tens of thousands of enemies. Once those people know that I have a son with such a powerful physique, I'm afraid that he will die prematurely. I have at most 1 year left. I can protect you for a few more months. How far you can go will depend on your luck. Di Shang revealed his own life. 1 year was the blink of an eye, and for a quasi-emperor, it was no different from a day. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. He had become a nanny with a group of children under him, each more terrifying than the last. In the near future, he would be targeted by tens of thousands of races, and even the dead spirits. Without Di Shang's protection, would the insane sect really have a chance to grow? Within the ancient god of massacre, in a palace, the imperial left palace, quasi-emperor Wuxian's palace forbidden grounds, Jian Qinxue was bathing in a blood pool. His body was red and emitted a 7-colored light. He was undergoing the ancient bloodbath technique to purify his body. Jian Qinshua's face twitched and his body spasmed. He was in extreme pain, as if every part of his skin was being tortured by a soldering iron. It was unbearable. Qinshua, hang in there. The blood in this blood pool has been sealed for tens of thousands of years. It's the essence blood of the heavenly snow empress. As long as you can withstand the blood cleansing technique, you will be the second empress in the world. You and she both have the scarlet snow body. What she can do, you can do too. The blood cleansing technique was the cruelest secret technique in the world. It replaced all the qi and blood in a person's body. It was like being reborn. Every step was like walking on a sword. If one was not careful, they would die. The heavenly snow empress was the first empress in the world. Wherever she went, snow would fall. Wherever she went, it would be a paradise. She could break the galaxy with a snap of her fingers, chase after the stars and capture the moon. Her will could suppress the endless universe, and even the dead spirits submitted to her. She left a pool of blood in the world, waiting for the scarlet snow body 10,000 years later. Ah! Jian Qinshua shed tears of blood. Her jade bones were broken and repaired continuously. The essence blood in her body flowed backward and shot out from her 7 orifices. The essence blood in the blood pool broke through her flesh and drilled into her body, creating new blood. This kind of torment was not inferior to the pain of Yi Qinghan building the gold origin Dao body. Yi Qinghan's will was absolutely terrifying. Who would have thought that Jian Qinshua could withstand it to this extent? I want to follow in his footsteps. My life is like a demon. I want to be an empress. Jian Qinshua roared. His eyes were filled with shock. His jade arms pierced through the void and his 5 fingers pierced into the iron pool. Blood stained the hall. My life is like a demon. I want to be an empress. This sentence explained Jian Qinshua's Dao heart at this moment. He wanted to follow in Yi Qinghan's footsteps. He didn't want to cower behind. He didn't want to be protected all the time. He wanted to protect Yi Qinghan and Guangzong. Will, at this time, only a strong will could withstand it. Every empress's will could suppress the heavenly might. Jian Qinshua's persistence was probably not weaker than a great emperor's. Zhuo Xian was shocked. This weak girl could reach this step, which was already beyond his imagination. He thought that Jian Qinshua could only pass half of the test and save her from the blood pool. He didn't expect her to resist until the end. Jian Qinshua had transformed from a mountain eagle to a phoenix. Once she came out of seclusion, she would definitely have the battle strength of an empress. The current Kuang sect was mighty. Under the protection of the empress, more than 10 young disciples killed in all directions. They showed the dignity of the human race and the arrogance of the Kuang sect. Nangong Qingyue's combat strength was extraordinary, because of the bloody corpse Lingji. She suppressed the royal bloodline of the great martial venerable realm, and was invincible. Lin Wutian's sword Dao was unparalleled. He defeated thousands of enemies with one sword. He was extremely terrifying. I'm a disciple of the Kuang sect. You can't even defeat me. How dare you be arrogant in the human race? Lin Wutian's eyes were like swords. He coldly glanced at a corpse and his protector, and a trace of disdain appeared at the corner of his mouth. More than 10 Empress experts of the 10,000 races had appeared. They coldly looked at the disciples of the Kuang sect with murderous intent. In the eternal battlefield, corpses were piled up like mountains. There were corpses everywhere in the endless territory. Deep cracks were smeared with blood. It was terrifying. The evil aura here was enough to kill a great martial venerable. Those who dared to move around here were all terrifying Empress experts. Of course, most of the people moving around here were not alone. Most of them were in teams. A team had 3 to 5 people, and at most 10 people. When they attacked together, even the dead spirits had to retreat. Xikong Chengjun was tricked into the eternal battlefield by the people of the Xiaolong region. When he was a great martial venerable, he should have died, but not only did he not die, he became braver and braver as he fought. He had endless opportunities and reached the 5th layer of the Immortal Gate. He was invincible among his peers. He instantly killed dozens of experts of the 9th layer of the Immortal Gate, and formed a tyrannical team. The Brother Team. There were not many people in the Brother Team, only 6. However, everyone's battle strength was about the same. They were definitely invincible among their peers. Moreover, their relationship was very strong. They could entrust their lives to each other. When fighting, there was no need to worry about their backs. At this moment, Xikong Chengjun was like a divine jade. He was about 1.85 meters tall. He looked young, but he was full of ancient vigor. It was as if he had experienced the barbaric era. His whole body was full of an invincible aura. A golden lightning rod shot out lightning. The origin of gold wrapped around it, reflecting the golden and black law patterns on the rod. The law of the great Tao entwined around it. It was definitely a supreme battle weapon. No one knew its level. He had gone through thousands of tribulations to obtain it. Light enveloped the golden lightning rod, spreading out layers of golden light. The rod's handle shone with golden light that captured people's souls. Golden Jade Thunder God Rod. The battle rod was accompanied by a hero. He had an imposing appearance and a monstrous battle intent. The ancient immortal gate robe fluttered in the wind. He stood proudly against the wind. His eyes pierced through the void and stared at a divine sword that was like a rainbow piercing through the sun. His eyes flashed. Lonely Sword Tao. Even if it was 10,000 miles away, this brother could recognize it. Xikong Chengjun had a faint smile on his face. He laughed and said, "It's been more than 10 years. Brother, how have you been? Where's Brother Qinghan? Why didn't he come with you? This is the world of us brothers." Gu Qingyu flew over on his sword. He stared at Xikong Chengjun. He did not expect him to enter the eternal battlefield and obtain such an opportunity. Chapter 248. The Aeon battlefield was gray and gloomy. It was filled with a deathly aura. Even the mountains and rocks were blood red. The blood of the ancient experts covered the boundless ancient sovereign domain. The sovereign domain under the protection of the human sovereign formation was shattered. The ancient humans were in the most miserable state. The hardships of the human race were reflected in this place. It was difficult to move forward. They could be drowned by thousands of races and dead spirits at any time. Even the sovereign domain with the most powerful quasi-emperors would be annihilated. Xikong Chengjun was overjoyed at the reunion of his brothers. He pulled Gu Qingyu to his team. "Let me introduce you. This is my brother Qingyu. He's one of my 2 brothers in the Xiaolong region. The other one is Yi Qinghan. I'll introduce him to you next time." Xikong Chengjun looked at his team and introduced them in a forthright manner. They are Xiaobiao, codename Stallion, Shengguan Yinfeng, codename Divine Whip, Tianyu, codename Goshawk, Sha Xingkong, codename Rookie, and Su Fan, codename Giant Sword. They and I have been through life and death together. We can leave our backs to each other. We're brothers now. Xikong Chengjun said excitedly. Gu Qingyu smiled. The eternal battlefield was full of vitality. It was rare for him to smile in a few hundred years. He had really changed. He was willing to open his heart and try to accept some people. At least, he was willing to protect the group of children from the crazy sect. I'm Gu Qingyu. Greetings to all of you. Fraud's brother is our brother. My codename is Stallion. You can call me Cao Biao or Stallion. Cao Biao was a burly man. He looked around 30 years old. He was very sturdy and had a rough voice. Fraud. Is that your codename? Gu Qingyu raised his eyebrows and looked at Sikong Chengjun in surprise. Cough cough. Because I use a rod, they insist on calling me Fraud. I'm used to it after so many years. Sikong Chengjun smiled embarrassedly. Ha ha ha, my name is Shashingkong. You can call me Rookie. My name is Tianyu. You can call me Goshawk. The others introduced themselves one after another. They were all hot-blooded men who had fought in the battlefield for decades. Gu Qingyu nodded in return. Where's Qinghan? Why didn't he come? Sikong Chengjun asked. Something happened to him after you left. Gu Qingyu whispered. What? What could have happened to him? Sikong Chengjun's aura turned cold. He gripped the golden jade thunder god stick tightly and asked coldly. Owl War Star was attacked by the great Buddha Golden Temple, Emperor Shenyi, and more than 100 great revered martial artists. They were completely annihilated, and Qinghan self-detonated. Fuck your mother. I'm going to slaughter them. Sikong Chengjun flew into a rage. He didn't let Gu Qingyu finish speaking, and was about to leave with his staff. Can you wait for me to finish? Gu Qingyu frowned. No matter how much Sikong Chengjun had changed, he was still impatient when talking about brothers. Sikong Chengjun suppressed his anger. His eyes were full of killing intent as he stared at Gu Qingyu. Gu Qingyu shrugged and continued. I don't know what kind of luck Qinghan had. He was actually reborn on a small planet. Now he has grown to the point where his battle prowess isn't inferior to yours or mine. He slaughtered 100 great revered martial artists from back then. Now he's in the sovereign domain, but something happened to the human race, so he didn't have time to look for you. He specifically sent me to look for you and see if you're dead. Fuck, I won't die even if you die. Sikong Chengjun immediately scolded with a smile when he heard that Yi Qinghan was still alive. Do you want to go back with me and return to the Aeon battlefield another day? At that time we can come together. Gu Qingyu frowned. Thinking about how the sovereign domain was almost in chaos before he left, he was a bit worried. Let's go. Sikong Chengjun led his team and Gu Qingyu into the sky, rushing out of the Aeon battlefield. The sovereign domain was now a mess. There were too many king transformation bloodlines, and they were too powerful. The human race's younger generation was pressured to the point that they couldn't breathe. Even if Kuang Zong joined the battle, he was clearly powerless. The all-extreme divine crystal was 10,000 times more valuable than the top-grade spirit crystal. It emitted a divine light that spread out in all directions. Di Shang held a huge divine crystal in his hand, trembling slightly. The hero had completely passed his prime. Yi Qinghan looked at the sleeping child inside the all-extreme divine crystal. The divine dragon mark wrapped around him, and the all-extreme divine crystal couldn't seal Di Longtian, who was struggling to break free. Di Longtian, Di Shang's only son, was sealed not long after he was born. Now, even the divine crystal couldn't restrain him. He wanted to soar into the sky and conquer the golden era. Di Shang tore the divine crystal apart. Di Longtian opened his eyes, and he was like a divine dragon emerging from the sea, seizing one's soul. Daddy, I've been sleeping for a long time. Di Longtian's voice was tender. He looked at Di Shang's white hair and asked in surprise. Just a few days. Little Tian, come, let me introduce you to a big brother. In the future, you have to listen to him. Do you understand? Di Shang hugged Di Longtian, tears flowing down his face. He couldn't hold back his tears at all. Yi Qinghan's eyes reddened, and his fingertips trembled. He didn't want to disturb this father-son relationship that had been separated for 1,000 years. Daddy, why is your hair all white? Wasn't it fine when I was sleeping? Why are you crying? Little Tian will be heartbroken. Di Longtian was confused. He didn't know that he had slept for 1,000 years. Di Shang couldn't take it anymore. He half knelt on the ground and hugged Di Longtian tightly. His voice was filled with grief. Emperor Yi held Yi Qinghan's large hand as tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. Once upon a time, she had hoped that her father and mother would dote on her like this. Even if it was just a smile or a hug, she would be so happy that she wouldn't be able to sleep. Di Shang's helpless appearance as he held Di Longtian in his arms had struck her soft spot. Ooh, master. Emperor Yi also had his weak moments. He lay in Yi Qinghan's arms and cried bitterly. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and held back his tears. He hugged Emperor Yi tightly. At this moment, he could only give her a hug to make her feel warm. After a long time, Di Shang controlled his emotions and looked at Yi Qinghan seriously. He handed Di Longtian's hand over to Yi Qinghan. He's your big brother from now on. You have to listen to him, understand? Di Shang's voice was hoarse and filled with sobs. No, Daddy, I want to be with you. Di Longtian broke free from Yi Qinghan's hand and rushed back into Di Shang's arms. He stroked his snow-white hair and seemed to have guessed the reason, and tears flowed down his face. Daddy is going to a place far away, a place very far away. In the future, let Big Brother protect you. And this little sister, you have to be obedient. Don't make Daddy sad and worried, okay? Di Shang was as gentle as water, and he used all his gentleness in this moment. Daddy. Di Longtian's voice was filled with sorrow, and his tender face was pitiful. Di Shang gritted his teeth and suppressed his emotions. He said in a low voice, Come with me. I'll take you to the god of slaughter. Yi Qinghan was stunned. There was a separate world for the ancient god of slaughter? Di Shang brought the three of them out of the main hall, and walked on a path filled with killing intent. After a long time, they arrived at the back of the forbidden ground of the ancient massacre god. The magical runes of the forbidden ground covered the entire area. Without a special technique, no one would be able to enter. Di Shang pulled out the mortal sovereign sword and stabbed it into the barrier. The sealing array automatically disappeared. This guardian of the human sovereign sword is the only way to open the forbidden grounds. Without the human sovereign sword, no one can open the divine killing realm that the first imperial exterminator personally created. Di Shang stepped into the divine killing realm, and the scenery changed drastically. A magnificent palace appeared in front of him, and there were dozens of large stone steels in front of him. Below the large stone steels were countless smaller stone steels, as if they were arranged according to an array. The 10 large stone steels were inscribed with the laws of the Great Tao and quintessence, while the smaller stone steels were inscribed with countless minor divine abilities, major divine abilities, and secret arts. Yi Qinghan let Emperor Yi in, and he was stunned by the dense spiritual energy here. He felt his blood boil, and he could feel the runes of the Great Tao on every inch of his skin. Remember, before you become a quasi-emperor, do not try to comprehend the 6 Great Tao stone tablets. The Great Tao stone tablets here contain the insights of the past great emperors of the ancient god of slaughter. Once you activate the insights of the great emperors, their supreme divine sense will instantly destroy your divine sense. Do you understand? Di Shang warned. Yi Qinghan and the others nodded. They carefully looked at the large and small stone tablets. There were close to 1,000 of them, and they represented close to 1,000 powerful secret techniques and divine abilities. Although the stone tablets seemed to be moving, if one looked carefully, they were still in the same place. If one's will was not strong enough, they would definitely be killed by the pressure and aura here. The strongest secret techniques of the past great emperors of the ancient god of slaughter are hidden here. The bigger the stone tablet, the stronger the secret technique, and the more dangerous it is to cultivate it. In the future, you must start from the smallest stone tablet. Di Shang explained one by one, then led Yi Qinghan and the others through the stone tablets and into the palace. This is the ancient god of slaughter pagoda. From the outside it looks like it only has 2 levels, but in reality, there are 20 levels inside. There are 1,000 steps, and whoever can step onto the 20th level will be crowned Great Emperor. When I was at my peak, I entered the 13th level. I hope that one day, one of you will be able to step onto the 20th level and receive the Imperial Exterminator's inheritance. Yi Qinghan sucked in a breath and looked at the golden pagoda. This ordinary-looking golden pagoda actually blocked the path of a great emperor. Before you enter the gate of immortality, no one is allowed to enter the pagoda. Otherwise, you will be severely injured, or you will die on the spot. Di Shang looked at the golden pagoda with reverence and continued. Every time you pass a level, a secret technique will appear on every level of the pagoda. Everyone's fate is different, and the secret techniques obtained will also be different. Di Shang explained in detail, as if he was afraid that Yi Qinghan would not understand the mysteries behind this. Yi Qinghan memorized this place. Perhaps this would be an important place for him to nurture Guangzong. Go outside and comprehend the techniques. I want to talk to Qinghan alone. Di Shang waved his hand and said tiredly. Yi Qinghan handed the Enlightenment Lotus to Emperor Yi, so that she could open her eyes and comprehend the techniques on the stone tablets outside. He remained in the room. A strange look flashed in his eyes as he thought to himself. The yin-yang flower can allow one to see through yin and yang and comprehend the great Tao. However, it can also allow a great emperor to transform into yin and yang, and enter the cycle of reincarnation. Should I give the yin-yang flower to him? Once he transforms into Tao because of the yin-yang flower, I will not be able to do anything. Chapter 249. The Killing God world was filled with majestic emperor aura. No one knew what Yi Qinghan and Di Shang were talking about inside. Emperor Yi held the Enlightenment Godly Lotus in his hand and greedily looked at the stone tablets around him. He realized that even the smallest stone tablet had a powerful secret technique carved on it. This was the foundation of the ancient Killing God. Every year, many young disciples of the ancient Killing God would use large amounts of contribution points to exchange for 2 hours of cultivation time here. The runes on the stone tablets were fluctuating, making it impossible for people to cultivate in peace. Emperor Yi sat quietly in front of the stone tablet and comprehended. The 9 arrows chasing moon explosion technique was a secret technique created by an ancient quasi-emperor. It could shoot 9 arrows one by one, each 100 times stronger than the last. After 9 stacks, the 9 arrows would converge into one and pierce through a giant star. Unless a great emperor personally attacked, no one would be able to block it. Although Emperor Yi didn't use a bow, the strings of the divine zither could be turned into bowstrings, and the melody could be turned into arrows. When the 9 arrows chasing moon explosion technique was integrated into the zither, not only would its power not decrease, it would instead increase by dozens of times. Di Longtian didn't look at the stone tablet. Instead, he stared at Emperor Ye's back and walked around him a few times with curiosity in his eyes. Emperor Ye's divine sense was tyrannical to the extreme. He imprinted all the profound meanings of the runic Tao within the stone tablet into his mind. He also memorized the method of using the moon-chasing 9 arrows stacked explosion technique by heart. After a long time, he opened his eyes slightly and looked at the adorable Di Longtian. He smiled and said, "Little guy, what are you looking at?" "Sister, you make me feel very comfortable." Di Longtian sat cross-legged in front of Emperor Yi and said seriously, "Sister is a natural beauty, as beautiful as a flower. Anyone who sees you will feel comfortable." Emperor Yi teased. He really liked this little guy and couldn't help but want to dote on him. "It's different. I've seen beautiful sisters before. You're different from them. I feel that your soul is very clean as mine," Di Longtian said seriously. But for someone so young to say such serious words, it made people want to laugh. Emperor Yi smiled faintly and rubbed Di Longtian's little head. He teased, "Are you praising me or praising yourself?" "Of course I'm praising you. I'm a dragon among men. I don't need to be praised," Di Longtian said seriously. "Emperor Yi, your narcissism is really inherited from the parrot." Emperor Yi covered his mouth and laughed. An hour later, Yi Qinghan stepped out of the main hall with an ugly expression. Seeing the 2 little fellows talking and laughing, he couldn't help but squeeze out a smile. He pulled one of them with each hand and said, "Master is in seclusion, so let's not disturb him. Little Tian, from now on, follow me and let your father have a good rest, okay?" I will listen to father." Di Longtian was very sensible. He didn't say anything unnecessary and followed Yi Qinghan out of the Killing God's world. In the imperial domain, the humans were in a state of decline. As long as any of the 10,000 races sent out their strongest young masters, they would be comparable to the top powerhouses of the human race except for the crown prince. They would be the top powerhouses with king's bloodline. As soon as they attacked, it was earth-shattering. Other than Tan Wuxia and Yi Mengxi, Huang Xiaohu, Nangong Xiaobei, Shirgu Lin Wutian and Feng Wuxia, the others were all defeated. Even those from the 9th layer were defeated, not to mention the other juniors. However, the battle strength of the arrogant sect was extraordinary. Even if they lost, they could survive. The pressure on the younger generation of the human race was increasing. It was impossible for a few juniors of the arrogant sect to support the entire world. One race had lost, and the other race had arrived in a domineering manner. They wanted to defeat Stan Wuxia and the others by taking turns. Feng Wuxia and Lin Wutian fought 30 battles in a row. They won all 30 battles, but at this moment, they were bathed in blood and were heavily injured. Nangong Xiaobei was still fighting. He won 20 battles in a row, but he was not injured. He was the smartest. After a big battle, he did not stay for long. He immediately moved to another location, not giving the other party a chance to fight him. He repaired his body and fought again. The more he fought, the braver he became. Huang Xiaohu was the most relaxed. No one dared to approach him. Once they got close, no matter how strong their bodies were, they would be crushed by gravity. They could be beaten up by him, so no one dared to approach him in the later stages. Tan Wuxia unleashed the aura of the golden bloodline. He was absolutely invincible among his peers. His body was unparalleled. Those who were caught by him had absolutely no power to resist. Even the flying beasts were suppressed by his golden blood qi, and could not fly. The 10,000 races were furious. The powerhouses gathered to discuss how to suppress Tan Wuxia, Huang Xiaohu and Shirgu. Shirgu had killed many powerhouses with his big brick. Without the divine martial Dao soldier, no one could withstand his attack. That Tan Wuxia has the golden bloodline. Although he is now at the peak of the mid-level Tao master, he can defeat the great martial venerables. Who can suppress him? Huang Xiaohu's law of gravity makes us helpless. He has infinite strength. Unless someone can kill him, no one can withstand him once they get close. Damn it, that Shirgu really pisses me off. A great martial venerable actually came out to fight us with a divine martial Dao soldier. How can we fight this battle? That little girl is too fast. We need to find someone with speed to suppress her. Damn it, where did this crazy sect come from? When have we, the 10,000 races, been so aggrieved? The transformed beasts were furious. They hated the people of the crazy sect to the core. Please ask the 12 great Saint Royal families to help. We are powerless. The 12 great Saint Royal families had noble bloodlines. They were far superior to the royal bloodline, but they were not as good as the royal bloodline. However, once there was a powerhouse who had atavism, their combat strength would definitely be comparable to the royal bloodline. A bunch of trash. You have such a hard time dealing with a few children. How dare you claim to have the royal bloodline? The Tiger King, the Mount of the Qilin Tiger, was a member of the Saint Royal family. He had monstrous combat strength, but he had become the Qilin Tiger's follower. At this moment, he had transformed into a human form and looked at the 10,000 elites coldly. The 10,000 races had a strict bloodline hierarchy. No matter how the Saint Royal family humiliated them, they would not dare to refute. They could only lower their heads and accept the scolding. I have already informed the Sacred Eagle King to deal with Yi Mengxi, the Sacred Bear King to deal with Huang Xiaohu. As for Stan Wuxia, I will deal with him personally. As for Shirgu, one of you can borrow a divine martial Dao soldier to suppress him and kill him. The Tiger King scolded coldly. Thank you, Your Excellency. The heroes were overjoyed. As long as they could get rid of the crazy sect, the other humans would not be a problem. Even if they were strong, they would not be able to withstand a battle of attrition. Don't go too far. Otherwise, the 9 great Holy Lands Dao Realm disciples will come out and force the Saint Royal family to come out. When that time comes, it will be easy to cause trouble, the Tiger King said indifferently. He turned and pounced in Stan Wuxia's direction. At this moment, Fengsha had already received news that the Saint Royal family's experts were going to attack the crazy sect's disciples. He took the first step and took Stan Wuxia away. Rest for a while and restore your battle strength to its peak. The real battle will come later, Fengsha said in a deep voice. Stan Wuxia's arrogance soared to the sky. His qi and blood erupted, suppressing thousands of miles. He shrugged and his bones cracked. The corners of his mouth curled into a proud smile. He said disdainfully, "Even if the imperial prince comes personally, I will still kill them if they suppress their cultivation to the great martial venerable realm." Xia Qiyue took Shirgu away, Xia Ziluo took Yimingxi away. Almost all the young disciples of the crazy sect had disappeared. The experts of the 10,000 races were searching for them, wanting to suppress and kill them completely. Zhang Gu appeared in the center of the imperial domain, with Xiaotong's followers. He wanted to apply to the quasi-emperor to fight with the Qilin tiger. He wanted to destroy the imperial family first, so that the 10,000 races would be suppressed. After fighting for millions of years in several great eras, the human race and the 10,000 races suddenly cooperated. The younger generation could not see the big picture at all. They only wanted to trample on the other side ruthlessly. They wanted to step on the corpses and walk to the front. They wanted to appear in the eyes of the 10,000 races and become imperial princes. Only by reaching this step could they prove their Tao. The top existences of the 10,000 races and the human race gathered together. They did not step out, but they knew the outside world like the back of their hands. Zhang Gu is determined to fight with the Qilin tiger. Do you guys think we should let the imperial princes fight first? Xia Chuntian asked in a low voice. As soon as he said this, everyone fell silent. At this time no one would stop him. However, everyone understood that if they let the imperial princes fight first, it would definitely cause hatred between the two sides. It would be difficult to cooperate in the future. Once Zhang Gu really fights with the Qilin tiger, Zhang Gu will naturally represent the human race, and the Qilin tiger will represent the 10,000 races. Winning or losing is no longer important. At that time, the young children in the middle level will hate each other. Can this cooperation still continue? The third quasi-emperor of the ancient massacre god, Qin Yuan, thought for a moment and stood out to stop him. That's right, I won't sponsor it either. It's a golden era now. The world belongs to the young people. It's fine for us old things to just watch, but we can't interfere at all. If the young people hate each other, the human race and the 10,000 races will both suffer losses without the Ghost Emperor's help. The dead spirits will definitely take advantage of the situation and slaughter wantonly. The expert of the Blue Dragon race of the 10,000 races, Long Chu, stood out and said coldly. The Blue Dragon race was rumored to be the descendants of the Divine Dragon. They possessed the supreme bloodline of the Divine Dragon and had an unparalleled physical body. Once they became a quasi-emperor, they could sweep away all enemies and enjoy a supreme status among the royal families of the 10,000 races. If he didn't agree, the other quasi-emperors of the 10,000 races would also give him face. This group of little guys is holding back their anger and want to rush out. I'm afraid we can't not give them a chance. Why don't we have a competition, regardless of race, and only the top 1,000 will be rewarded? Zhang Yunxiao said indifferently. That's a good suggestion. Everyone agreed. Regardless of race, only the top 1,000 would be rewarded. The younger generation wouldn't have any scruples about whether their opponents were from the human race or the 10,000 races. It would be best if they could win. A group of top experts was discussing, but the experts of the 10,000 races didn't stop. In order to find Si Wuxia and the others, they had already used all their spies. Even wild beasts and birds were requisitioned. The people of the crazy sect were slowly being surrounded. At this time, Yi Qinghan was leading Emperor Yi and Di Longtian out of the ancient massacre god. When he smelled the scent of blood, he sent a telepathic message to Nangong Shen and the others. After learning about the situation of the crazy sect, a cold smile appeared on his face. Chapter 250. Disciples of the Insane Sect head towards the buried Emperor City. Yi Qinghan sent out a message talisman. Emperor Yi summoned the god-slaying eagle and flew into the sky with Di Longtian, and the other two. The sound of the guqin resonated and stirred the blood of the heroes. Who didn't know of Emperor Yi's power? Emperor Yi sat cross-legged. Di Longtian looked at Emperor Yi quietly as he listened to the sound of the guqin. The dragon blood in his body boiled, and he wanted to erupt into the sky. Yi Qinghan stood proudly, his clothes flapping in the wind. He was as fast as lightning. The god-slaying eagle spread its wings and beat the river. When Qin Heng learned that Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi had appeared, a strange smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. The expressions on the quasi-emperor's faces varied. Some were confused, some were solemn, and some were delighted. Outside the void, the sacred eagle king revealed his true form. His speed was unprecedented. His sharp claws pierced through the void and went straight for Yi Mingxi. The sacred bear king transformed into a strong young man. His eyes were fierce and arrogant. He was led to Huang Xiaohu by an expert. The Tiger King's power was overwhelming. He attacked Si Wuxia, wanting to completely suppress him. Every disciple of the insane sect was targeted by the experts of the 10,000 races. They wanted to suppress them and promote the prestige of the 10,000 races. Xiaqiyue, heavenly palace god, and the others were gloomy. They communicated with each other and rushed out of the buried emperor city. They hoped that Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi would help to suppress the king and sage king bloodlines of the 10,000 races. The buried emperor city was the largest city in the central region of the imperial region. There was a great emperor here who transformed into his Tao, and because of that, it was a place of civilization. Countless experts came here to pay their respects to the majesty of the great emperor. There was a stone tablet erected outside the buried emperor city. It was at least 300 meters tall, and there was only a single word carved on it. Emperor. It was only one word, but it contained the glory of the great emperor's life. Different people had different understandings. Different people comprehended different Taos. Screech. The god-slaying eagle roared in the void. Its sharp claws were like the most powerful immortal sect Tao soldiers. Yi Mingxi was blocked by the sacred eagle king. The eagle looked at Yi Mingxi with murderous intent. Screech. The sacred eagle king didn't say anything and pounced on Yi Mingxi, wanting to kill her. Whoosh. Using the extreme Tao divine dragon steps to the limit, he created countless afterimages in the air as he dodged sacred eagle king's attacks. Boom. Whoosh. 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 Yi Mingxi couldn't increase her speed. The god-slaying eagle king. Screech. The sacred eagle king roared again. Its sharp claws pierced through the void, aiming for Yi Mingxi's back. Sky-piercing technique. Sensing the danger, Yi Mingxi suddenly turned around and unleashed her full battle strength. True Yuan poured out and blasted towards the sharp claws. Boom. The peak rank 7 Holy Eagle King was not someone ordinary people could deal with. It was comparable to a crown prince, the chief disciple of a holy land. Its sharp claws were terrifying, and it directly pierced through Yi Mingxi's attack. Run. Yi Mingxi didn't dare to be stubborn. Her speed was suppressed, and she wasn't a strength-type elite. She could only choose to run. Xia Ziluo broke through the void and followed not far away. She frowned. The Sacred Eagle King was suppressing Yi Mingxi. If the Sacred Eagle King were to deal with Huang Xiaohu, he wouldn't be a match for him. However, he had an absolute advantage against Yi Mingxi. The myriad races had come prepared. 30,000 miles away, in the southwest, the Sacred Bear King found Huang Xiaohu. The Sacred Bear King, who was nearly 2 meters tall, looked at Huang Xiaohu, who was less than 1.8 meters tall. Kid, your battle ends here. The Sacred Bear King's blood vessels bulged. He left a footprint on the ground with each step. He ignored Huang Xiaohu's law of gravity and kept approaching him. Huang Xiaohu clenched his fists and stomped on the ground. He wanted to borrow the power of the earth to fight the Sacred Bear King. He was born with divine strength, so he had no advantage against the Sacred Bear King. His space was distorted, and there was a terrifying shattering sound. The veins of the two experts bulged as they punched each other. Their fists were covered in flames, and the ground was cracked. Ah! The two roared at the same time, and their strength exploded again as they clashed. Boom! 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 Crack! The two terrifying forces collided, and the ground cracked. Huang Xiaohu's body could only be considered weak compared to the Sacred Bear King. Their strength was similar, and he couldn't withstand the Sacred Bear King's explosion. Roar! The Sacred Bear King exploded again after the collision, and Huang Xiaohu was pushed back a few hundred steps. His blood dyed the ground red. Huang Xiaohu was in pain. He didn't expect the Sacred Bear King's body to be so terrifying. The tiger bone in his right arm was shattered, and the golden bones were shattered. He borrowed the power of the earth to heal himself, but his battle strength had decreased by a lot, and his Zhen Yuan had been reduced by half. Brat, I've said it before. Your campaign ends here. Prepare to die. The Sacred Bear King was only pushed back about 10 steps, and there was a trace of surprise and shock in his eyes. He didn't expect Huang Xiaohu to be able to withstand his all-out attack. Huang Xiaohu snorted coldly, and turned around to escape towards the buried Emperor City. Where do you think you are going? The Sacred Bear King was overbearing. He stomped on the ground, and his speed wasn't any slower than Huang Xiaohu's. Law of gravity. Thousandfold gravity. Huang Xiaohu turned around and pointed at the Sacred Bear King. Then he rushed into the distance again. The Sacred Bear King's momentum paused, and he felt that his body was being suppressed by a force of 1,000,000 pounds. He immediately unleashed his bloodline, and the law of gravity was shattered. Nangongshen looked on coldly from behind, and a cold smile appeared on his face. There were too many races, and there was bound to be someone who could deal with the arrogant sect's disciples. This was too disadvantageous for the arrogant sect. On the other side, the Saint Lion King had invited the divine martial Dao soldier. Moreover, it was a revived divine martial Dao soldier. Its aura soared into the sky, and the divine martial Dao soldier's aura was vast. It pounced directly at Shirgu, wanting to suppress Shirgu and seize the golden brick. Shirgu sensed the danger. His golden brick had not recovered yet. Fighting with the Saint Lion King was the same as fighting with a godly martial artist. It would be suicidal. So he turned around and ran back to the buried Emperor City. The arrogant sect's disciples all fled towards the buried Emperor City. Almost all of them were intercepted, and their opponents were specially chosen to suppress their advantage. At this moment, they were surrounded by danger. Even Yi Mingxi was severely injured, but she was still running away. Only Si Wuxia was domineering. He unleashed his golden bloodline and clashed with the Supreme Tiger King. Both of them were filled with killing intent. Golden bloodline. I would like to see if you are really as powerful as the legends say. The Supreme Tiger King looked coldly at the little guy in front of him. How dare an ant offend the emperor? I will show you what the real golden bloodline is. Boom. An emperor's aura rushed into the clouds, startling the experts thousands of miles away. Si Wuxia's veins were bulging, and his golden bloodline was boiling. Like a dragon's roar. He became sacred and inviolable. He was like a great emperor, suppressing everyone's qi and blood. Only when the Tiger King roared did they realize how terrifying the golden bloodline was. It could completely suppress the opponent's qi and blood. If a cultivator didn't have the support of qi and blood, how could they fight with the golden bloodline with just their physical body? Little tiger, be my mount, and I will spare your life. Si Wuxia ordered coldly as he stepped forward and pierced through the Supreme Tiger King's body. The Supreme Tiger King was furious. In his life, he would only submit to the Qilin Tiger, a royal bloodline. The dignity of the Tiger King made him unable to tolerate Si Wuxia's disdain. He immediately unleashed all his combat power, and transformed back to his original form. His golden body was more than 10 feet tall, and exuded supreme majesty as he pounced towards Si Wuxia. Humph, you don't know what's good for you. Si Wuxia snorted and clenched his fists. He stomped on the ground and charged towards the Supreme Tiger King's head. Bang! A fist landed on the Tiger King's head. The terrifying golden battle aura rushed into the Supreme Tiger King's consciousness and stirred wildly. It shook the Supreme Tiger King, until he was dizzy. He let out a mournful roar, and fell to the ground. Boom! The Tiger King fell to the ground and dust rose into the sky. Si Wuxia grabbed a strand of tiger hair, and waved his iron fist. He smashed down like raindrops. The Tiger King couldn't resist at all. The qi and blood in his body were completely suppressed by the golden bloodline. The golden battle aura broke his veins and blood stained the ground. Will you submit or not? Boom, boom, boom. The Tiger King didn't even have the chance to reply. He was hit until he was dizzy. Fengsha was indifferent. He appeared not far in front of Wuxia, guarding against the sneak attack of the 10,000 races. Roar. The tiger roared and broke the clouds. It struggled and tried to escape. However, Wuxia sat on its head. Every punch made its flesh and blood splatter. Too powerful. It didn't allow the opponent to resist at all. This was the golden bloodline, the bloodline of the human emperor. Kill it. Let's go back to the buried emperor city. This is your master's order. Fengsha didn't want to waste time. He was afraid that he couldn't protect such a powerful Wuxia. The moment Wuxia's killing intent appeared, the Tiger King felt it. He knelt on the ground and screamed to show his submission. Let's go. Wuxia grabbed the tiger hair and shouted at the Tiger King. Let's go to the buried emperor city. If you don't behave, I'll kill you immediately. Fengsha shook his head. This golden bloodline was indeed terrifying. No wonder it could suppress the 10,000 races and the dead soul's forbidden land when it grew up. The Tiger King submitted to the human race. He led Fengsha and Wuxia to the buried emperor city. When the Qilin tiger found out that not only had the Tiger King lost, but he had also submitted to Wuxia, it was enraged. Immediately, it charged towards the buried monarch city. Even if it couldn't do anything, it had to kill the supreme Tiger King. It was an unbearable humiliation for its mount to betray it. At this moment, Yimingshi was covered in blood. Her arm had been scratched by the sacred eagle king. Xia Zilua was being watched by the 10,000 races. There was no reason for her to save her. Buzz. The sound of a guqin was heard. It stirred the blood of the 10,000 races. The buried emperor city was in an uproar. Even the divine martial artists came out. When they saw Yi Qinghan standing on the sacred eagle, they couldn't help but roar in anger. The sound of the guqin meant that the human race was about to counterattack. The sound of the guqin was rich and powerful. Heaven and earth rose and fell with it. It burned the blood of the human race outside the buried emperor city. Yimingshi got closer to the buried emperor city. When she saw Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi arrive, she burst into tears. She shouted, "Sister Emperor, kill me. This bastard is bullying me." Yi Qinghan looked at the sacred eagle king coldly. It kept attacking Yimingshi. Yimingshi was like a duckweed in the ocean. She could be killed at any time. He picked up Di Longtian and summoned his god-slaying eagle. He said to Emperor Yi, "Kill it." Chapter 251. Kill it. A cold voice resounded in the buried emperor city, causing everyone's blood to boil. Screech. Emperor Yi rode the god-slaying eagle and roared into the void. The sound of the guqin resounded through the clouds as he stood up proudly. Emperor Ye's name had long resounded in the imperial region. He was even more famous than Yi Qinghan. His appearance caused the younger generation of the human race to roar in anger. Buzz. Emperor Ye's guqin music ignored time and space and exploded in King Sacred Eagle's mind. The explosion made him dizzy and he fell to the ground. Yimingshi took the opportunity to escape to Yi Qinghan. Looking at Yi Qinghan, she pursed her lips and wanted to cry. She had never felt so close to death in her life. "All right, your sister will take action. Let's see how she will avenge you." Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed with killing intent. He felt that the myriad races were trying to kill Guangzhong. He clenched his fists and looked at Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi did not move at all. He ordered the god-slaying eagle to attack King's sacred eagle. They were both 7th-grade divine eagles, so their combat power was definitely terrifying. Screech. The god-slaying eagle wanted to make a contribution. Its sharp claws shattered the void as it pounced towards King's sacred eagle, wanting to tear him apart. King's sacred eagle finally regained control of his divine sense. Seeing the god-slaying eagle pouncing towards him, he was furious. There were different breeds of eagles. The god-slaying eagle was only a 4th-grade one. Even if it had evolved to a 7th-grade one, it should still respect the sacred eagle race. Screech. King's sacred eagle spread his wings and charged towards the god-slaying eagle. The wind blew the sand and stones, covering the galaxy. The buried Emperor City became the center of the storm. Boom! The two divine eagles started fighting. Emperor Yi was stuck on the eagle's back. He was not affected at all, allowing the god-slaying eagle and King Sacred Eagle to fight. The ironback golden wings broke the void. Feathers fell and blood splattered everywhere. Some belonged to the god-slaying eagle, and some belonged to the King Sacred Eagle. One of them was fighting for its dignity, while the other wanted to please its master and establish its prestige. It was too dangerous. Thump, thump, thump. Everyone was worried for Emperor Yi, who was on the back of the god-slaying eagle. Their hearts suddenly raced as if they were going to jump out of their chests. The shame of the Sacred Eagle race. This king will send you to the afterlife. The Sacred Eagle King spoke in human language, its wings stirring up the wind and clouds as it killed, causing everyone to panic. The god-slaying eagle hadn't finished its transformation yet, so it couldn't speak. However, its crazy aura represented its determination to follow Emperor Yi. One day, it would become a rank 8 or even a rank 9 emperor. Screech! The god-slaying eagle pounced crazily. It did not care about the other party's attacks at all. It was fighting life for life, allowing the other party to attack freely. A piece of flesh was torn away by the Sacred Eagle King, and its sharp claws pierced into the Sacred Eagle King's metal wings. It forcibly tore the iron wings apart. Whoosh! Screech! The god-slaying eagle and the Saint Eagle King roared. Blood dyed the sky as they fell. However, the god-slaying eagle was going all out. It tore apart the Saint Eagle King's wings, and stabbed its beak into the Saint Eagle King's back. It was doing its best to absorb the Saint Eagle King's high-level chi and blood. The Saint Eagle King roared. It tried its best to flip around, trying to shake off the god-slaying eagle. However, the god-slaying eagle stuck close to the Saint Eagle King. It waved its sharp claws and tore the golden wings. The golden feathers fluttered and filled the sky. The Saint Eagle King still couldn't shake off the god-slaying eagle. It could only fall crazily to the ground. Its metal back was facing down, trying to kill the god-slaying eagle. The god-slaying eagle rolled crazily and changed its direction, pressing the Saint Eagle King down again. The two divine eagles were fighting crazily. The situation was very dangerous. Whoever fell to the ground first would be severely injured. It was almost impossible for them to make a comeback. Yi Qinghan's eyes were cold as he stared at the front. Emperor Yi violently plucked the strings of the guqin, and once again interfered with the Sacred Eagle King's consciousness. The Sacred Eagle King let out a mournful roar as his consciousness dissipated. Finally, the god-slaying eagle seized the opportunity and crushed the Sacred Eagle King to death. Boom! The Saint Eagle King fell to the ground. Its body was torn apart by the impact. Blood stained the ground. It let out a shrill cry. It was almost impossible for it to struggle. The god-slaying eagle grabbed the Saint Eagle King's metal back and lifted it up, slamming it into the ground. After 5 or 6 times, the Saint Eagle King was knocked unconscious. Its high-level blood and chi were all devoured by the god-slaying eagle. It was dispirited. You are courting death. How dare you use the immortal Gate Realm god-slaying eagle to injure our Saint Eagle King? The expert of the Saint Eagle race was furious. He didn't give anyone a chance to speak. He directly transformed into his true form and pounced on Emperor Yi. The Saint Eagle race was a top-notch expert of the immortal gate. It was terrifying. With a flap of its wings, divine light shot out in all directions. The expert was sent flying. Even the god-slaying eagle was swept away and thrown 1,000 meters away. Emperor Yi suddenly opened his eyes. The light of destruction shot toward the expert of the Saint Eagle race. However, the Saint Eagle race distorted time and space. The light of destruction missed and blasted into the depths of the wilderness. You are courting death. Emperor Yi was furious. He directly transformed his body into a giant zither. Divine light overflowed into the sky. 9-star chasing arrows explosion technique. The strings of the zither were almost snapped. The first arrow was shot out with a roar. Then the second arrow appeared with 100 times the speed and strength. It instantly merged with the first arrow. Xiao .9 divine arrows that tore through the void merged into one. They directly pierced through the void with monstrous flames. They were indestructible. They broke through the airwaves of the Saint Eagle race, and pierced through the Immortal Gate expert's defensive barrier. They easily pierced through the Saint Eagle race expert's body. Boom. The Saint Eagle race expert's body exploded. Blood poured out like rain and dyed half of the sky red. His vitality was erased by the sound of the zither. A Saint Eagle of a generation died tragically on the spot. Grand Senior Sister is mighty. Guangzong is mighty. Huang Xiaohu fled frantically. The Sacred Bear King chased him until he was battered and exhausted. He was almost smashed into meat paste several times. At this moment he was covered in mud and blood. After going through untold hardships, he finally arrived outside the buried Emperor City. Seeing Emperor Yi display his might, he roared in anger. Grand Senior Sister is mighty. Guangzong is mighty. At the same time, Wuxia arrived on the Supreme Tiger King. Lin Wutian turned into a sharp sword and sped over from the distance. Shirgu controlled the golden brick and used stellar transposition to break through the void. Nangong Xiaobei and Nangong Qingyue also returned. However, they were followed by terrifying existences. They were all experts of the 12 Saint Royal races. Li Jiucheng carried Taiwa and Little Li on his back. He was covered in blood and wounds. He forced his way out of the encirclement and returned to Yi Qinghan's side. He fainted on the spot. His defensive will was terrifying to the extreme. If it was anyone else, they would have died on the spot. However, he managed to escape tens of thousands of miles away. Yi Qinghan's breathing quickened. The coldness in his eyes grew colder. He bent down slightly and injected a golden pill into Li Jiucheng's body. He then said to Di Longtian, "Little Tian, stand here and don't move. Kill anyone who dares to come close." Boom. Yi Qinghan's chi shot up into the sky with the 7-foot-long berserk hammer in his hand. His disciples gathered behind him, and he faced the Sage Monarch clan's disciples alone. He didn't retreat, and instead he continued forward. Yi Qinghan's eyes were cold as he looked at the Sage Monarch clan cultivators. He didn't retreat, and instead he continued forward. A group of Saint Royal race experts who have cultivated for hundreds of years dares to chase down and kill a dozen teenage children from the Guangzong sect? You deserve to die. Yi Qinghan's robes fluttered in the wind as he stared at the 10 or so Sage Monarch tribe experts. An evil smile appeared on his face. The Saint Royal race experts looked at Yi Qinghan coldly. They didn't recognize him at all. King Sagebear stepped forward and said, "So you're from the Guangzong sect, brat. I'll send you to the Western Paradise." "Is that so? I'd like to see how you're going to send me to the Western Paradise." Yi Qinghan's voice was cold. Metal essence flowed wildly, emitting a golden light. He waved his hand and said to Emperor Yi, "Son Wuxia, take them to the back. I'll take care of this." Emperor Yi and Wuxia quickly took the injured Guangzong sect disciples and retreated. Yi Qinghan looked at King Sagebear and the other experts indifferently. He raised his saber and said disdainfully, "Do you want to come at me together or one by one?" Everyone gasped. They'd seen crazy people before, but they'd never seen someone this crazy. Even if the Imperial Sun had suppressed his cultivation, he wouldn't have dared to ask the Saint Royal race to come at him together. King Sagebear was furious. He looked coldly at Yi Qinghan and said disdainfully, "Brat, are you tired of living? Do you know who this king is?" The parrot suddenly jumped out and laughed. "Aren't you just a big stupid bear? Do you think you're human just because you've taken human form and put on clothes?" Ha! The experts of the human race laughed wildly. They suddenly felt that the parrot was much cuter. Roar! King Sagebear roared angrily and rushed into the distance. The young experts didn't dare to laugh anymore. Divine light flowed on his sturdy body. His blood boiled. With a light stomp, the ground outside the buried Emperor City shook. "Bastard! I'm going to kill you." King Sagebear's iron fist pierced through the void and charged toward Yi Qinghan with monstrous flames. The shockwave almost blew the parrot away, and his clothes fluttered. Yi Qinghan was indifferent. Layers of scales appeared on his azure dragon arm. He switched the heavy berserk saber to his left hand, and swung his right arm toward King Sagebear's fist. "Master, be careful. This guy's body is too terrifying." Huang Xiaohu was shocked. He was afraid that Yi Qinghan would be at a disadvantage in terms of physical strength. Yi Qinghan sneered. His metal essence Dao body exploded. His aura was like a rainbow. In the blink of an eye, he collided with King Sage Bear. Boom. The ground trembled, and sand filled the sky. The 2-meter-tall King Sage Bear crushed the ground. His entire right arm was twisted and broken. Yi Qinghan didn't retreat. Instead, he moved forward. With a twist of his waist, he suddenly exploded with 10 times the strength. He flipped his fist inward and attacked again. Boom. Ah. A shrill cry filled the sky. King Sage Bear's right arm was smashed into a bloody mist. His golden bones were broken and shot into the void. His body fell backward like a kite with a broken string. Bang! The strong King Sage Bear fell dozens of meters away. The ground cracked and blood splattered everywhere. He fainted on the spot. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, stunned by Yi Qinghan's physical body. This wasn't something a human could do. Dust rose around Yi Qinghan, blocking everyone's vision. The Sage Monarch tribe's experts looked at the cloud of dust in shock. They found that there was no movement there. Yi Qinghan didn't even take a step back. Don't tell me he was smashed into nothingness by that punch. How can he not take a step back? The Sage Monarch tribe's experts couldn't believe it. They scanned the area with their divine senses, but couldn't find any trace of Yi Qinghan. They looked expectantly at the center of the dust cloud. When the dust cloud dissipated, Yi Qinghan stood proudly with his hammer in hand. The ground beneath his feet seemed to have been frozen solid. There wasn't even a crack. His bold face revealed a hint of mockery as he looked coldly at everyone. The humans stopped breathing. There was a deathly silence. Then they roared in unison. There was no need for a rehearsal. Guangzhong is mighty. The sound waves pierced through the air and reached the great hall where the boundary emperors were gathered. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.